you actually know you were the original? Or because the memories are the exact same and you could both say the exact same thing and know enough about each other that you actually wouldn't know who was the original because you both remember it the exact same way.
Okay, we can hear that now. Hey, on my second side of the stream, this is Crazy Peas. I am TPAW.
Karnage, as usual.
Yep, and so we're talking about a few things today. We've been talking about Inspector Gadget a little bit, and then now he's talking about cloning, things like that.
Well, because our lovely first viewer on Twitch brought up his favorite character was Inspector Gadget, and I went into the whole video, mythos I saw that was, well, Inspector Gadget is actually the Claw.
Yeah.
And the Claw is actually the original Inspector Gadget before he got in the accident where they had to rebuild it.
Yep.
And I thought that was just it's a good mythos, a good viewpoint on it.
Yeah.
Because, like I was saying, now that we're on YouTube too, because I'll tell them the same thing, it's like the Invincible thing. With the blue, I think it was blue, wasn't it?
Yeah, they're both
blue.
twin brothers, and
well,
really
they're clones.
They're clones, but they operate.
But
like
nobody knows who the original is.
Yeah.
They could be like 3 or 4 generations recloned of themselves, and because they're such a good clone, they don't know who's the better one. But yet, with the Inspector Gadget, the only reason that the Claw is the Claw, and everybody assumes he's the bad guy, that he's not the original Inspector, is because of the whole thing of he doesn't sound like Inspector Gadget. Well, if you got in the accident like they talk about at the beginning of the series,
yeah,
then it's the thing of you wouldn't know because it would mess up your voice and you would talk like this. And he covered his hand in the claw because, and that's why that's the only thing you see because it hides the rest of him.
Yeah, yeah. I'm opening up.
Oh
YouTube.
no, you're good. It hides the rest of them in the actual thing.
Yeah.
You gotta pull up live chat for. Okay, it is. So we don't have any live chat. You'll see it whenever it's sitting sideways if something actually pops up.
Yeah, I know. I'm telling some people on my end that the stream's going on.
Yeah, so the usual lunatics like to come in and actually talk to us.
As far as
I like that somebody actually popped in with something on my end. Yeah, because that's rare that we actually have somebody pop in.
Yeah, I as far as the cloning goes, I would say that they played with that concept really well in that show because not only did they tie it to it emotionally, because when one of the other characters, Robot, decides he's going to be, give himself an actual body, it gives like an emotional beat to it rather than just being like, oh, they're clones. Because like on Star Wars, for instance, another show that uses cloning as part of the story arc, it's just sort of like they have a clone army and they are clones, and you just sort of accept that it's.
You mean Star Wars? You said Trek.
Oh, Star Wars. That's what I meant.
No, I love that because for me, I was like, did you mean to say what he said? And then when you got into it, oh wait, wrong show, movie, whatever. Yep. I wasn't trying to be rude and interrupt you, but for me that was just a ha ha.
Yeah. That's the thing is it's like it's on Star Wars. You just sort of accept that it is what it is, and you're just like you're like, oh, Star Wars, huh? And you go, okay, there's a clone army. And you go, okay, this is what they're doing, and so you just sort of accept it as it is, and like that's just what it is. But like on this show with Invincible, they deal with the emotional weight of it. Like they deal with the emotional weight of what happens when you get emotionally attached to the clone, and then you end up having to kill off the clone.
Oh no, I get that. But you remember back another show that went into that. One of your most favorite Marvel characters that you like talking about, that it's one of your favorite Marvel characters.
Spider-Man?
Yep.
Okay.
Near the end of the series, remember the multiverse thing?
Yeah.
Where, no, I'm the original, he just thinks he's the original because I won't accept him as the original, he, wants to kill me. Yeah. And that's like that whole character's thing.
Yeah.
Alright, who said hello?
Will says, what's up, ladies?
Ladies. I'm sorry, I don't have tits. I have pecs and
pectorals.
Feel the pecs.
Will says, get a haircut, Tim.
Grow a pair of balls first, let me. if we're going with this sort of damn talking, I'm sorry. I don't need a haircut. I just need a slight trim. I'm sorry. I'm gonna grow my beard down to here. I'm gonna be the Amish guy, except for I'm not gonna have the full beard, the whole neck beard down to here. I'm just gonna have this front piece grow down to there. And it's hard with having curly hair right here, because I've been brushing it out and whatnot with it. No, I've been using a brush more than a comb, but I also like combing it out because it straightens it out.
Yeah.
And it's not just here; it's down to here sometimes if it'll stay straight. But I'm trying to decide because I really don't have money because I got to save up for taxes. But I've come to the point where it's like I literally have to go out and figure out which company has the best beard oil, or just figure out, what combo I need to use and make my own at home because I have the doTERRA oils.
There's a website that I probably should look up because I haven't had the beard oil myself, but it was a thing that actually Russell and Brenda got me ages ago, and then one of my buddies got it, and it was from Comic-Con. It was like manbeardoil.com or something like that, where you can get man beard oil. And it actually worked really well for like weeks and weeks. I was just, doing oil on the beard every day, and then it gained really good definition. Just haven't done it since.
Well, we have a few of the local ones, and then you have like, I think it's like beard.com or whatever, because it used to be manbeard.com or whatever, like
that's
Shave Club.
Yeah.
Dollar Shave Club was like
I remember that one too.
Club.
Yeah, there's been a couple.
Yeah, there's been a couple like that, but I mean, some of the companies that I know that make good products for like your hair and like facial, like Teach Hanley and what's his other freaking Alpha M, his other. He's got a couple companies. You got Teach Hanley, which is mostly, I think it's hair, but I think it was Teach that had the face wash that I like using. I have it in my gym bag, which is I've actually left at the gym. So when I go to the gym in the mornings, when I am able to, I need to buy another one off of Amazon. But it's basically a face wash, and they have the moisturizers for your face. But I've actually made my own moisturizers for my face, so I don't need a new moisturizer for at home because I actually have the one I made myself that works real well at home. I just need the face wash because using regular soap, it'll just rip up your skin.
Yeah.
But you also got to be careful with some of those face washes. I know from personal use, because with the Teach Hanley and a couple of the other ones I've tried out there, they can rip your... They tear away too much of your oils, and it's horrible for your face if you use it too much. So I can't use it every day. I have to use it like every other day.
Yeah.
Don't forget to turn chat back on so that way we can see our lunatics talking to us.
Oh, no, I automatically turn that back on.
Well, no, it looked for a second like you weren't going to hit the button. That's the only reason I said something.
Yeah, no, it's, as far as beard oil goes, like, for a long time, this last year, and the last couple of years, have been financially
Tied on all of us?
testing, yeah, so I haven't really thought about, like, I should, because it's self-maintenance, really, but I haven't really thought about doing that sort of thing. It's been cool being able to go to the gym with you, pretty much 4 or 5 days a week, and being able to.
You can get 6 days.
Yeah, because we really like being able to build up the muscle mass, but also just take care of ourselves better, physically.
Well, it's like 2 hours of just. I mean, because we shoot this shit there too, but it's just 2 hours of just maintain your body, but it's maintaining your body as a physical, not really the whole wash and hamper sort of thing.
Yeah.
And that's where I know I need to improve, especially with the whole beard thing. But with my hair, it's just half the time it's no, I have crappy hair this week. Well, no, because even when I keep it maintained and keep it like overly conditioned and whatnot, like the way I like to,
yep.
Sometimes it's too much condition because my hair, if it's too short, it gets poofy. But because it's long, you get those weird hairs that just sit up there and go,
We are talking about beard oil and beards. That's what we're talking about, Will.
And just maintenance in general.
Yeah, right now we're self-maintenance right now, but we will be talking about Good Omens. I've watched
almost all of it.
Almost all of it. I watched part of the finale. I haven't watched the entire finale, but I've watched enough of it to talk about it for a good, 20, 30 minutes. And then I've also watched. I pretty much burned through all of the rest of season 5 of Lucifer, which they dropped season 5B just like 2 days ago, 3 days ago, and I've already burned through it. Like it was that easy for me to burn through
I
that.
still got like 2 or 3 episodes to watch.
Yeah, and then I'm gonna also read a chapter out of this little beautiful baby right there that I've wrote, and I'm gonna give birth to another book here soon. Cause
chapter 2.
Yeah, like I wrote 2 chapters, like 2 chapters in like 4 hours. Like it just sort of went out of me. I think it's been the weeks and weeks of just not being able to write. So
when I got here, freaking, what was it 3 hours ago? 4 hours ago? I literally came in and you were typing. I'm like, I got done with chapter 1. I'm working on chapter 2 right now. And I'm like, cool.
Yeah, like,
you're actually doing it.
Yeah, like when I came in, my face was totally in the zone. Like I was not interacting with society.
Actually,
I was like, humans,
prefer to see
shut
you
off.
in the, writing zone.
Yeah, I was.
But I always think
like,
it's funny whenever I come over. You're like, no, I have to tell you about what I just wrote. It's like, okay.
Yeah.
I gotta listen to Thomas for half an hour. Tell me about the book, so I never have to read it. I just have to buy it. Support.
Well, it's not even half an hour. It was like 5 minutes of me just being like, "Hey, this is where I was. This is where I'm trying."
Well, no, I mean you brought it back up a couple times, so it's like, okay, you want to get me, into it, but because the way you talk about your stories and stuff, I basically know almost everything about the whole first book, and you've told me enough of the mythos. I know what's coming, but I don't know.
We've listened to like 75-80% of the book on this podcast, so you're able to put 2 and 2 together as well.
You talking to me about it. I know the storyline. I know the mythos. I know the universe.
And what's funny is I was debating about whether I should read out a chapter on this podcast tonight, and then I was like, yeah. Like, because of the fact that the second book, the very beginning of it, is literally a spoiler. Because it references events that happened in the last book, and even though there's like been in the time span, I made it to where there was months between the two, so it's easier for my brain to process that it's an entirely different book. Like I found it's hard. Like I'm just like, if it's like back to back, like seconds later, it's hard for me to process that it's an entirely different book. But I made it to where there was months, so that there's like time blocks, and so
splits that we can say, okay, this is where we're at. And this is why we're here, so let's just keep on going with what the
Well, what's funny is the last book, I just simply said summer 2001, right?
Yeah.
And this book, I specify, like the very first chapter, very first scene, I say June of 2002. So that, like, you get more of like okay, this is where it's at. And so then in the next few chapters, when I fast forward a couple months, it'll go to August. And in fact, thinking the second act, I've got it to where I have the plot set to where Act 2 will be in August, and so I'm going to have a few characters' birthdays that happen in the second act, which is something I didn't do in the last book. I didn't like timestamp exactly when people's birthdays were, and I found out that was kind of a mistake on my end, because like when I read Harry Potter, you already knew which characters were at what age, because in like the first few chapters you'd find out Harry, was still his relatives. You'd find out that Hermione and Ron and everybody sent him presents. And I don't know if you ever read the books, but like in the books, she would go on to like about what presents they got. You knew that Harry had grown another age because his birthday was July 31st, and so it was like marks of time in the story was marked by birthdays.
I've had them read to me.
Yeah.
Like I'll sit there with the kids when Teresa was reading them last year, I think it was. And I just sit there and listen to it.
Okay. So you kind of know then that like part of the series is marked by timestamps when it comes to like books, holidays. Like half the plot in the books is basically holidays. Like the troll scene in the first book of Harry Potter, the first movie, in fact, the troll scene is marked by Halloween because the pumpkins are out. Like it's her. She basically used human holidays to mark her wizardry world. And like you've got,
if you have the wizards hiding in the normal world, that kind of becomes what
and
it is.
For instance,
and All Hallows Eve has always been a witch and occult type.
Yeah, and for instance, I don't remember whether it was fall or whether it was spring, but in the third book, there's pumpkins laying around Buckbeak when they're trying to quote unquote kill Buckbeak, and when Hermione used the time turner for that plot. So each one of the stories was marked by holidays. Like you knew you were halfway through a Harry Potter book if it was Christmas.
Yeah.
And you knew you were halfway through a Harry Potter movie if it was Christmas, or if, like, especially in the first movie when Columbus, like, so strictly made it to where the movies and the books were aligned. Halfway through the movie, you look at it, it's like an hour and a half is when Harry's like, presents, and Ron's like, it's presents, happy Christmas, Harry, and the characters are like all happy and shit, and it's Christmas, and it's like you look at the runtime, you're like, oh, it's an hour and a half, time to pee, and so it's just like, and that's if you're not in the theater, but like if you're in the theater, you don't want to miss anything, so you're just like, hold it, bitch, hold it. When I watched Guardians of the Galaxy, the movie that came out in the theater, I watched it 6 times in the theater. When they got to the part where there was the invasion on that planet and all the spaceships were flying in near the third act, I had to pee every fucking time that those spaceships were flying in. I was like, as soon as we started getting into that sequence, I was all like going, please, body, don't make me. And the spaceships start flying. I'm like, fuck! I'm like, hold it, bitch!
Thought about it first.
Yeah, I'm like, hold it for a half hour, fucker.
No. Okay, they're starting. I should go run to the piss real quick so that way I can pee. By the time I get back, I won't miss anything.
Yep.
I thought, okay, I watched the movie. Okay, I'm going to have to pee in 2 minutes. If I run to the bathroom now and make my body pee, I should be back in 5. All right, let's go.
Yeah, so I'm thinking in the next few weeks, I'm hoping if I can get through chapters like I did tonight, I'm thinking I can get through half the book by middle of next month, and that's rough draft status. Because editing is adding in stuff or removing shit. Now it means I'll have to read it out to myself, and I'll have to like read it out because reading it out loud gives me this idea of like, okay, this is how the flow is for the story, and this is where I need to add in
reading it out to yourself. Okay, that's wording wrong. Got to change the word. Got to reword it this way. Okay, that doesn't fit what everybody else would understand. It fitted in my head. It fit in my head, but it doesn't fit on paper. Okay, got.
What's even funnier is as I was reading out the story to you on the podcast and reading out the story to the audience. The idea is that I was listening to it out loud myself, and I'd replay the podcast a couple times to hear those parts again, and I'd be like, wow, some of the plot is not clunky, but it's
not the way you
for some come out. Yeah, for some people it's a little blocky, and that might be part of what's leading to where I was. And so in the second book, I've heard from publishers and editors and other people and like people in the industry that the second book is really where you learn how to write stuff, because the first book is about finishing and getting to that finishing point and being able to. This is why I said Lucifer's first season was kind of hard to get through, because it's like a cop procedural without much mythos. And so it's like with this story, it was like it's a demon story about a bunch of kids who are dealing with a lot of fighting stuff, fighty. And so in the second book, I address that and have like one of the characters be like, why don't you guys go save everybody? You'll find out when I read out the chapter. But like there's a part where this character named Marcia, she was just like, why don't you guys go fight everybody? You guys are superheroes, right? And like it's kind of like, you remember how in Invincible they address that? Like they have like a couple characters be like, you're a superhero, go stop it. And he's like, no. And so you have like this element. So you've got like this whole like common thing where like Orion and those other guys have been through the shit already, and so they're just like, well, we can't stop this one. Like, we already understand what's going on, because in the story, it's Alex is basically raising hell, and then Murdering's involved.
No. After the battle we just fought, we would not be able to stop this, and no offense, fend for yourself, motherfuckers.
Well, it's like, Orion ends up actually quoting Beelzebub. Remember that part in Chapter 5 when Beelzebub's like, the road to hell is paved with blood of the innocent?
Oh, yeah.
And he's like talking about, what he's basically telling the kid is that you can't save everybody even if you want to, and sometimes you cause more damage if you try. And so in this particular part,
that's like what they bring up. They've done it in a few of the, like, I think it was Justice League Unlimited, and they've done it in other, like, in comic books from DC, where it's the whole thing of, well, we're gonna sue all you superheroes / vigilantes because technically you're not an official, like cop and stuff, for all the damage you assholes do. And it's like, you know what? If the supervillains didn't try to fight the superheroes, or, no offense, I'll go back to DBZ on this one, because in a few of the scenes, it's like, no, there's too many people here. We're trying to save people, so why don't we go fight over here? Follow me, I'll take you to a spot that's clear we can fight at.
Yeah.
They do that in a few spots for a few of the bad guys, sort of thing. And because they do it originally with Vegeta, when Vegeta and Nappa at the technically it's still part of the first part, but it's still within the first season, but it's the thing of, well, if you want to fight me, you're gonna have to fight where I want to fight, so that way I ain't gotta worry about everybody dying. So
Yeah.
follow me. And they do that 90% of the time. Some bad guys are like, I don't give a shit who I kill. Fuck you. Let's just fight, asshole, if you want to stop me. And I see that a lot in the whole, DC and Marvel universe where the bad guy's like, I don't give a shit. I'm here to create destruction and destroy everything to piss everybody off. Let's do it right here, jackass.
Yep.
Because they don't care. Their whole goal is to hurt the innocent person.
Yeah, and these characters aren't really doing that, but they are acknowledging the fact that this fight is much bigger than they are. And so they're and I'm also acknowledging in the story that they're teenagers and they're kids. And so in this story, you remember how in the last story, the very beginning, Lionel ends up fighting the Dark Lord guy?
Uh-huh.
In this story, Lionel takes center stage on that. Like, it's not like the big army guy of the bad side and then the big army of the good side, and then Peter's one of them and stuff, and they go at it.
Okay.
Instead, you're watching as Lionel's basically telling them, get lost, go through the portal, go to the school, be safe, and I'm going to take care of this shit. And so Lionel goes to go fight Murdrin, and the kids end up leaving the battlefield and going back to the school. And it's my acknowledging the fact that these are just teenagers, and when they're having to be pulled into the battle, they will be. But it's acknowledging the fact they're teenagers and the fact that they're not going to fight every single fight.
Well, that takes me back to some of the stuff they did, not with the original X-Men, but with some of the later versions of the X-Men, where the X-Men are actually just teenagers because they haven't quite gotten to adults. But I like the original X-Men animated series and some of the original comics because, by the time they're actually fighting, they're 18 plus.
Yeah.
But do what you have to.
So, as far as this goes, we're like I said before, we're going to talk about Good Omens, and we're going to talk about Lucifer. Do you want to talk about Lucifer and Good Omens before I read or after I read?
I figured you get the reading in, and then we'll just blab our way through Good Omens and Lucifer.
Okay. Because I have, no audience on the YouTube side. Everyone bailed.
Secure. Well, if you don't want to read, that's up to you, dude. The reading's more if you feel in the mood for it. If you don't feel like it, dude. Right, I like talking with you about the shows because I know sometimes that's where I get most of my views is when we're talking the shit and overanalyzing. The way we throw it back and forth. All the TV shows and some of the movies we've done.
Nah, we're good. I'll read it. I'm going to read chapter 15 because I don't think I've read that one before. Chapter 15. Orion. Dreamwalker, thy father. Meanwhile, while Violet deals with Murdrin, just minutes after the giant battle in the training facility, the Sea of Dreams played in front of Orion like a video of multiple newscasts at once. It was strange, being able to walk through dreams like he tended to. He was never sure of what he was going to get, whether it would be a peaceful one or a violent one filled with blood. Even to this day, and lately only when Orion himself dreamed. He walked along the cloud that he'd manufactured for himself like a platform, and wondered why he was seeing these ones. Some now had a recurring element to them, a man with half of his body of that of a spider, 8 legs like a centaur's half man, half horse. He was half a spider, and he had wings of an angel. A weird combination. He appeared in different dreams. Mephisto had been freed recently, and Orion wondered if this was Mephisto's actual form, as Mephisto just appeared as a regular man before. Dreamwalker. Mephisto looked right at him. A look of rage and disgust contorted Mephisto's features. He reached out with a bone-garbed glove for Orion, who dodged the snatch attempt, but the glove hit a dream-infused barrier. Blue light flashed in waves, similar to when Orion had to stop Varima from being assaulted by Abraxan. Mephisto kept grabbing, a flash of confusion on his face. His eyes narrowed. The light flashed red and then phased back to blue. We need to exercise extreme caution with this one. The energy fields won't hold him very long. Tragedy always follows Mephisto, and he hates Dreamwalkers, Damien said from behind Orion. Why does he hate Dreamwalkers, Orion asked. Back when Dreamwalkers first became a thing, it promised hope, especially when the different native tribes were living in Atrales. before everything, before the Great Wars. Mephisto and Beelzebub worked to corrupt dreamwalkers or collect their souls, as they held high value. Damien draws as if explaining why the weather tended to change. Mephisto's hand passed through the barrier as he continued to bat at the dream field. Well, can we get out of here? Orion asked. My, Dreamwalker, would you do the honors? Damien raised his eyebrows at Orion. Orion saw Mephisto begin to crawl from the dream as if a movie became real, and he snarled. Dreamwalker, Damien, together. Father and son, this is delicious. Mephisto grinned. Wait, what? Orion balked at Mephisto. He closed his eyes and concentrated hard. He focused hard on somewhere that Mephisto wasn't. Maybe some of the clouds where they could just talk? I knew you could do it, kid, Damien drawled. He had crossed his arms, and both of them were on a cloud. Unicorns were flying over their head. Wait, unicorns? Orion guessed maybe a 6-year-old was dreaming of some candy mountain, since there was a waterfall made of cotton candy and the structure seemed to be built of candy canes. Maybe a 6-year-old. Damien rolled his eyes. Memory jogged into Orion's jet-like brain from panic. Father and son? What was he talking about? Orion asked. Why would you ask me? Damien asked innocently, but something was missing. Orion narrowed his eyes at the demon. Demons lie. Hunter isn't wrong about that. He never was. Even my own best friend is part demon and lies sometimes. I'm a dreamwalker. I can push your dreams or your thoughts, vibe your essence, Orion bit at the demon. Life is messy, kid. Sometimes the truth is worse than an innocent lie, Demon bit back icily. And if I'm your son, I have similar power. Orion felt deep in his gut for the first time, that this might be the closest to what he has been missing from his life in ages. He was always missing, why he had walked through the dreams, aside from stories his mom would try to tell him as a child of the tribes, of the wolf mother blessing him. Why his mom somehow got the joint started when they had very little and in such a short time. Be careful of making promises, kid, or idle threats, Damien hissed. His face contorted between rage, extreme emotion, and fear. I'm not making idle threats. I'm a nobody of my group, the Dreamwalker, the kid whose mom owns a weed convenience store, while my friends are either a gangster wannabe, a vampire prince, or a fairy princess who's seriously edgy. If I also happen to be part demon, that explains why I can not just walk through dreams but alter them, change them. Why I've been able to push through time itself. Why you always seem to be around at the right time whenever things are going crazy, and we'll just accept it. How is that, and why do you, of all demons, care so much about us stupid kids? If you're just some demons, and obviously this unholy trinity is rising, some super crazy evil group of idiots, and demons tend to join them, but not you. Orion exploded on Damien. The angry demon bad guy just seethed at Orion, his eyes narrowed, his mouth a thin line with the corner upturning. Ages seemed to pass. I know. I know what you're implying at, and I know you feel like you're nobody. Life is ugly, child. Beyond ugly, usually. It's messier than it needs to be. And there are things you don't understand just yet, Damien said slowly. So, are you a daddy? Just some guy who happened to knock up my mom, and then ditch last minute because it got too scary for a big badass demon? Are you just some coward? Ryan asked. Does a coward help your mom build the joint? Does a coward make sure his family's secure and taken care of? Damien asked. Yeah, a coward does, because a coward may take care of things. Hold on, turning a page. But you didn't just have to deal with us growing up. Mom did all of that. Orion practically screamed at Damien. Mom had to clothe us. She had to deal with rowdy werewolf kids who needed his diaper changed and got fur everywhere. When the full moon rose, her kids would wreck the place, and she would use whatever she got from you, apparently, to replace broken furniture and broken things. I had to grow up without a guy who helped me talk to girls who did guy things. You missed out, Orion seethed. Yes, I did, on everything, to protect all of you, from Abraxan. Damien grunted, but he spoke softly, barely above a whisper. For once, this big, powerful demon helped your mother deliver you to the world, and you were the greatest gift I didn't deserve. I had destroyed lives at that point. I'd given in to illicit hunger for power. I still do. I make deals constantly and help Beelzebub gather souls for hell. For an abyssus, whatever humans call the place. What person like that deserves to raise a child, a wonderful creation of joy, Damien said. Could still do that. I need a dad. We all need you. And you're a big demon guy, a guy who loves power. Why can't you just use that to protect all of us, at home? Real heroes can't protect their loved ones when they're at home, Orion said, and he didn't realize how much he disarmed the demon. Damien sat on the cloud, his mind seemed clouded, his face a mask of emotion stirring into a frenzy. My, didn't expect to find the great Damien huddled on a cloud. Beelzebub chuckled. He stood behind Damien with his arms crossed with purpose, which meant Mephisto might have been close. Ryan remembered the legends. Mephisto was one of the first angels to fall from heaven. Chances are his friend's grandfather was going to drag them on a goose chase to stop his own brother. Let me guess, you want us to stop Mephisto, your dumb brother, Demon drawled at the angel. Angel, demon, whatever. We're gonna stop him. Good clarification. I've got him held off. I trapped him in some remote realm, but he won't be held down for long. I just figured I'd find you guys and let you guys know. He's trapped, for now. About time he became useful during a trying time for us, Ryan bit out. His fist clenched, his body buzzing, his head clouded. For us? Beazel seemed taken aback. Yes, for us, because apparently it's not just the Wolfricks that get everything. I actually do have a father for once. Orion has something that he didn't have before. For once, I have a dad who has a daddy dropout. Brian exploded at Beazel. That's okay. That's great. Beazel glanced at Damien, who scowled at Beazel. Those eyes glinted. You finally told him, eh? After all these years? It had to come from your stupid brother. He couldn't tell me on his own terms, Orion bit out. Naturally. Well, good. I can arrange for Grace to be home earlier. Maybe Julie picks things up. Family dinner? Beazel grinned. He clapped his hands together. You don't need to do anything. Nothing special. We don't owe you. Damien grunted. On the contrary, I owe you everything. We have our deals. I love family. Family is everything. It can be rough, really rough, but without family, what are we fighting for? Beazel gave a knowing glance to Damien, who just shrugged and avoided eye contact. Beazel winked at Orion. See you around, kids. Beazel disappeared from view. Next section. Orion woke up, and the biggest twist in all wake-up moments. Damien was sitting cross-legged on the foot of his bed. Hello, kid, Damien said. Hey, Damien. Orion still couldn't bring himself to say Dad. He'd been so accustomed to not having a father, he'd never even said the word most of the time, unless he mentioned someone else's dad. Since you took a nap after school, dinner's in about an hour thereabouts. Your mom was getting off work earlier, and Beazel did arrange things, against better judgments. Damien scowled. We're going to have a family dinner. Seamus and Nathan are ecstatic about wondering why I'm showing up. You didn't break the news? Just some demon guy going to hang out with us boys and old mommy? Ryan asked. How do you break the news? Damien asked, and his eyes shifted downwards towards the comforter. Hey kids, I'm your dad. That pretty much covers it, Ryan said. Seamus is adopted, Damien retorted. Hey kids, I'm your dad, still counts, Orion sighed. He yawned, and then he realized he had his biggest villain striking at him, fleas. He had itches back. He ripped off his shirt and started scratching at his ears and biting at his leg. Let me. Damien began scratching Orion's back, and then moved to his leg, and his scalp and Orion realized what heaven felt like. Oh my. Ah! Ryan's legs started twitching really fast. Did your mom do this a lot? Damien asked. When I was younger, before a job consumed her life, Ryan remarked. Come with me. Let's go to the joint, Damien said. Wait, what about my fleas? Ryan asked. We'll have time for that later. Let's go grace your mom with our presents, Damien remarked. Indeed, after Ryan changed his clothes, and after Damien smoothed himself over and changed his outfit 3 times, and sported a bowler hat and interchanged between a suit and a dress, decided on just a black suit, the button-up shirt remained unbuttoned, and he wore a common t-shirt. They left to go to the joint. For Orion, he'd walked through the doors at least 1,000,000 times, but his dad? It was like he entered the place for the first time. Double doors creaked open, the familiar joint symbol of a rolled marijuana stick emblazoned on the wall, and 2 dudes standing in front of the store. One dude stood taller than the other, sporting a beanie and a vest from the convenience store, blue jeans. The shorter one just wore a trench cloak and a pair of jorts, both of them smoking sticks. Hey, Orion, what up, short stack? Jay asked Orion. Just the normal? Oh yeah, this is Damien, Orion pointed at the demon. Damien tipped his hat at Jay. Your mom's inside. I think she's finishing early. One of the first times those words have come out of my mouth, and if it were any other woman, it would have been a lot less dirtier, Jay giggled. Bob, the shorter one, just nodded at Orion and kept puffing his stick. Sure, Ryan nodded his head, trying not to laugh at his mom's expense, continued walking inside. Oh good, you're here. Damien, Mom said, her dark hair had silver strands that lined the top of her scalp. The place had aged her significantly recently. Grace, it's been a while, Damien kissed her hand. Mom bit her lip and gazed at Damien, her eyes clouded with emotion. Is this one of those quick stops where you just tip me off on information or help with one of the kids, or? Mom asked him, and she let the question linger in the air. One of the biggest tips of the century. We're going to have dinner. You, me, the kids, all of us, Damien said. Oh. Mom glanced at Ryan. Ryan just gave a weak smile back. He was still shaken from his dream. Was it a dream? Damien helped Mom close out, even to the point of sitting behind the counter with a joint vest on his chest. He had wandered over the unbuttoned dress shirt and doing transactions on the register. Pack of smokes? Guy asked him as he walked to the register. Absolutely. Damien stared at the register and Ryan pointed at a few buttons to help Dad do the job. Hold on, I'm new here. Ryan tried hard not to laugh. A demon lord being a cashier. Mom crossed her arms and watched Damien struggle, and a smile began to slowly cross her face. Dude, is that your dad? Jay asked as he walked in with Bob. Ryan looked at Damien tentatively and looked at Jay and Bob. Yeah. Yeah, Ryan said. And Damien looked at Ryan, a flicker of a smirk on his face. Little family-owned stores, you know? So homely. Hope me and Bob here can still get some free eats even though your mom is here. Jay patted Ryan on the shoulder, probably remembering when Ryan snapped at him for not having a dad in his life. Jay had talked before about his dad ditching his mom and blamed that on why he was so messed up. I don't care, do you, Damien? Mom asked Damien, and Damien's eyebrows rose. He was not have been expecting this moment to happen. The man in the shadows for so long. No, honey, I don't, my grace. Damien smirked. Hell yeah, man. Jay fist pumped the air. Take it from me, man. When my old man passed away, it fucked me up big time. Hold each other close as you never know when it's going to happen. My dad died screaming and I worked hard all his life. Bob spoke for the first time. Flicked a lighter and had a cigarette in his mouth. Feeling's fucking important, man. They can be real pains in the ass, but in the end, they're all you got. See you around. Grabbing some brownies, man. Jay ended, grabbed some brownies, and Dew left the store. A few moments passed where it was quiet, only the sound of Julie screaming in the back, something to do with cleaning products. So what is for dinner? Ryan asked. Do you still love bloody steaks, kid? Mom asked. Extra bloody, it's almost the full moon, Ryan remarked. Mom nodded and clapped her hands together. That's our kid. My kid, Damien said quietly, and then he rang the register bell. Ryan blinked back tears, emotion threatening to overwhelm him. So what do you think so far?
I kind of like where they were, how do I just... Sorry, brain processing what you were reading, you just...
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm seeing the picture in my head. Or at least I thought I was.
Okay.
Well, no, it's trying to see what you're reading in a picture in my head, and I know sometimes it doesn't match up with what you think it should look like. We've talked about that.
I mean, they just wrote a story.
No, but at the beginning, them talking to him about, or him talking to his dad, like, well, what'd you do? Just knock at my mom? Motherfucker, did you just be a bitch and run off?
Yeah, the whole absentee dads type of topic going on.
Oh, yeah.
Going on.
And then when you move to the next part, I kind of got fizzled at the beginning, and then it's, well, talking about what I was talking about.
Okay, fair enough. Well, I'll move on to the next part. I basically wanted a breather. Ryan stood in the bathroom and saw himself in the mirror. He studied his reflection, any hints of his father. He never truly thought of it before. Maybe he was numb to it before. He felt nothing most of the time to the idea of father. He figured it came with the territory of being the kid out of this group that had never known what it was like. And most of the fathers he'd seen were either abusers, liars, or just absentee, like Leon, who tried to be a king and a father. We don't know how that goes, Ryan thought to himself. He noticed and realized that he got his facial structure from Damien. Or did he? Was Damien just wearing a meat suit that looked similar to Ryan, or was that his actual form? Could Ryan change his form? Could Nathan? Seamus was adopted. Why was he adopted? He never thought about it. Did Mom and Damien just never have another child? Mom had taken on Seamus after one of the villages that Crush had spared from Mox's raft just years ago had been destroyed. Mom did that a lot. She indirectly was like a mom to a lot of kids, just recently. The joint had taken over her life. Her and Sindrastra, Peter's mom, were like that. Life had gotten really crazy with Abraxan, and his whole soul business, the world Orion lived in, very divided. He wondered how it would be if Alex stopped her manic idiocy, and Crash didn't indiscreetly keep Leon from his own kids, is how it would be. If they weren't all being torn in different directions, often serving someone else's bidding. Maybe he'd never find out. He was going to have a steak dinner with his family. Hold up. When was the last time they all had dinner? Ages ago? They all tended to fend for themselves when Mom was consumed by work. Ryan looked at the sink and the tub and had to sit on the toilet, cupped his face in his hands. He needed a break, a big one that didn't involve some existential crisis or warlords or souls. Who was Orion? He didn't know. For the longest time, he was just the friendly neighborhood werewolf. His family owned a convenience store. Who really am I? Orion wondered out loud. Am I a demon, just like Damien? Or Dad? Damien? The word Dad still felt funny on his lips. He wandered downstairs and saw Mom bouncing around the kitchen like a jackrabbit. He smelled the delicious decadence of meat before he saw it. Giant slabs of crimson-colored mixed with dark brown meat, towering like blocks on the counter. Mom's silvery dark hair was tied into a bun, but some of it got loose. She blew it out of her face, and Orion gained a newfound appreciation for his mom. She went out of her way all the time for his little crop of crotch puppies, aka the family of pups. He thought of this as he sat at the table and saw the clock flexing for 6 in the afternoon. He didn't hear from Peter or any of his friends yet, and he didn't care for it at the moment. He was nervous, eternally absolutely fretting as he played with his fingers. How was this going to go? The table was decked with plates, even though there were only going to be 5 of them. Did Mom expect others to show up? They weren't that bad anymore, making messes anymore. He went out to the back porch and heard his mom making noises, or rather words with her mouth, but she'd gone into the pantry and he barely heard her. Damien, here. By 6. Should be, get your brothers. Where is that hot sauce again? Did it leave it bloody enough? His mom rambled while he stood at the doorway of the outside porch. He could tell she was nervous too. He left to go upstairs and saw Seamus and Nathan both in the bathroom. Seamus's red hair pooped on his head. It seemed like he hadn't seen it in a while. Then again, that's what happens when you are consumed by some budding war conducted by maniacs. Nathan resembled Orion more. Darker hair, darker skin, not a ginger. Lean for a kid and silver eyes, whereas Seamus had blue eyes. Nathan took on the Native American traits that his mom held. Ryan didn't remember the tribe name or any of that jazz. The wolf mother had blessed him with decent looks, his mom would say. Seamus held it in a piece in his hand, a cylindrical device with a bowl at the end, green powder inside it. Dude, this is the new mythic pink tusk, a dank-ass strand, Seamus said as he stared at the bowl of pot in his hand. Did you take that from work? Ryan narrowed his eyes. Maybe, Seamus smirked. I'm testing it, see how it is, you know? Seamus waddled his eyebrows at Orion. Sure, why is Nathan in here? He's a kid. Ryan stared at his much younger brother. I'm 12. I turned 13 next week, man. I helped you and your friends fight those crazy fairies and the crush guy not that long ago, Nathan argued. I'm not sure a kid is supposed to be smoking, Ryan grit his teeth and felt very uncomfortable. Just a puff, man, just a puff, Nathan begged. You're a kid, too. You're only 16, Seamus argued with Ryan. Yeah, what if Mom finds out we let Nathan puff on this stuff? It'll knock him on his ass. Ryan fought back. Let him live a little. We never know when the time is up. Especially when all the craziness going on, Seamus said. You get first dibs, bro. Yes, Nathan fist bumped the air. Seamus began fingering the lighter that he pulled from his pocket. Nathan grabbed for the piece and the lighter. Hold up, take it easy, bro. Seamus jerked it away. Let me help you light it. When it hits you, you'll get what I mean. Nathan let Seamus flick the lighter, and the flame tasted and ate the grass as Nathan breathed in from the mouth part of the piece. His eyes went super dilated, and Seamus jerked away the lighter after about 5 seconds of Nathan sputtered. Nathan's face got super red, and his eyes got puffy as his eyes turned shades of red after a moment. He coughed. You okay there, bro? Orion asked. Nathan nodded his head with a giant grin and he coughed again. Thumbs up that you'll live through this and retire into a happy life? Seamus grinned. He gave Orion a devious wink. I think so. Nathan sat in the toilet and leaned back inside. Why is the ceiling so white? All 3 of them began giggling uncontrollably. The door was closed. Seamus had closed it before the infamous puff by the young one. I just heard an oh god from you.
No, it's the smoking pot in the school bathroom. It's just...
No, they're in the home bathroom.
Either way, the description of the toilet made me think of freaking like a school bathroom or job corps bathroom. It's like, why is the tile white? Fucker, it's a bathroom. Why are you asking that stupid fucking question? That's why my mind went to you're sitting in a fucking goddamn the stall for the shitter, either at an outside toilet at the school or in the school, and everybody's just like,
Were you getting flashbacks?
yeah, flashbacks. Me, the one lighting the fucking joint, or me, the one pulling out the ladder. Fuck, I forgot my ladder. All right, my turn. Oh yeah, no. That brings back pothead days in high school when I didn't want to take naps. Funny part was I slept through half of high school, and I still fucking knew everything the teacher was talking about more than any other fucking student in the room. And I'm like, and I sleep through these classes. The reason I'm not passing is because I'm trip, motherfucker. This shit was. That's where it takes me flashbacks. It's like, God, would the teacher ever just shut up? We already learned that shit last week.
Yeah, all 3 of them began giggling uncontrollably. The door was closed. Seamus had closed it before the infamous puff by the young one. I don't know, man. Seamus puffed on it again and jerked a piece from Orion, who began to suck on it. Seamus had made that circular motion with his fingers, still lit. After a moment passed, Seamus sat on the floor with Orion, and Nathan, still sitting on the toilet opposite him, Pink elephants, Nathan whispered. Pink fucking elephants, Seamus nodded his head. What about them, Orion asked. His brain had slowed down and everything seems to super sharp and focus. Their voices echoing in his head. Just pink elephants, Nathan and Seamus said in unison. Damien is coming by. I don't know if Mom said, Orion blurted out. I think I just heard Amber laugh. Is she watching?
I don't know if she is. That was a... If she isn't, I'd be more kind on the ha-ha for the laugh.
Yeah, like, I literally said pink fucking elephants, then I heard that.
Yeah, no.
Just pink elephants, Nathan and Seamus said in unison. Damien's coming by. I don't know if Mom said that. Orion blurted out. Who's Damien? Seamus asked. The creepy guy who shows up from time to time, Nathan shrugged. Oh yeah, why is he coming? I thought Mom was making food, Seamus asked. Damien showing up meant something dramatic was happening. She is. He's having food with us. He's our dad, Ryan said as if he described the weather. You know what I just realized? With me, I just had that moment that I usually have with my brother where I'm like watching a show or something, or I'm like reading something that's, you know, that I wrote or whatever, and then out of nowhere we hear Mom laugh at something, and we're like, "Is she watching with us?" And then Andrew's on. I go, "I don't know, is she?" And then we literally run downstairs or run into the other room, and we find out Mom was watching a cop show or something, and then she just happened to laugh at the exact same time. I'm just getting weird flashbacks. And suddenly Amber's mom.
Flashbacks are tonight, apparently.
Well, I just got done talking about how family is everything and shit like that, right, in the story, so it's like, makes sense.
And Mom's making dinner.
Yep.
Oh, no, yeah. But when you said pantry, I got two freaking visions of pantries because of the houses I've lived in. A pantry you actually walk into like it's a closet full of
I don't know if
food. Or a pantry where it's just...
I don't know if you noticed, but you know how, like, Grace is, like, losing her mind, like, trying to make dinner and make everything go well? I put in a bit of Brenda in there.
No, I saw that.
I was like, I put a bit of her in there. He's having food with us. He's our dad, Orion said as if he described the weather. Oh, we have a dad? Now? Seamus asked. Orion looked at Orion. Yeah, I guess. Nice, huh? Orion said, hoping for a positive reaction. He didn't know why he cared about the reaction. Sure, I need another hit. Seamus grabbed a piece, lit the lighter and puffed. He blew out smoke out of his mouth. Kids! They heard Mom shout from downstairs. Then he got a serpent worried look on his face. She's gonna know! Nathan started splashing water in his face from the sink. Don't worry about it. It's one time. She won't care. Seamus shrugged. Nathan darted out of the room. Why do you just not seem to ever care? Ryan asked Seamus. Like, ever. I mentioned we have a dad and you don't care. You don't care whether Nathan smokes. You don't care much at all. Because I don't. Not like that. Seamus got a dark look on his face. What do you mean? Ryan asked. I'm adopted. That's why. Nothing seems to have weight. Mom's always at work. You're always with your friends. Nathan and I just do stuff together and we don't have a dad. I know you want one. Like, really badly. I don't. Life is good when there aren't demons and vampires around to wreck everything. That's better when things are simple.
That is not like
when we just have the green. Mom's happy here. If Damien is our dad, that just means bad things are going to happen. They always will. And I'm glad I'm adopted. Glad you're stuck with him. Eventually we'll all move on, but you won't be able to. You are Orion the Dreamwalker. And you always will be. I'm Seamus. I only have ties with my brothers and my mom. Life's better when it's simple. Love and let live. Peace. Seamus rubbed Orion's shoulder in that reassuring way. He then got up and called after Mom. Orion just sat there staring at the wall, wishing this dinner wasn't going to happen. He went downstairs and joined his brothers at the dinner table, then saw Mom standing by the head of the table wringing her hands. It was now 6:30. Seamus and Nathan were getting restless, especially Nathan. He clacked a fork on the plate next to his chair. Nathan, stop that, Mom shouted at him. Ryan stood next to the back of the door again. He glanced at Mom, who stared at the clock on the wall. Her eyes were narrowed, and she glanced towards the back door, which Ryan stood next to. Ryan saw the worry flash across her face. He's not coming. Those words were crossing through her expression. Ryan felt that in his gut, the disappointment. Why did he think Damien would? Why did he think he could have this, whatever this was? A family? Mommy and Daddy having fun times with his brothers? Why did he think he could have that? Did he deserve it? Ryan stewed over this, while the thought, he's not coming, flashed through his head on repeat. He went out to the porch while Mom served Nathan and Seamus. Forks and knives raked over the ceramic, and Ryan tried not to cringe from the noise as he felt the drag across his teeth. He needed a joint to himself, to breathe. His gut had tightened, his mouth dry, his eyes felt wet, and he sniffed through his nose, emotions reddening his throat with tight springs. Ryan flicked the lighter that was in his pocket. It's time for food, my dear, Mom said from behind him. Sure, but Ryan's voice felt flat. He flicked the lighter a few more times. Can I at least have a smoke before? Ryan usually didn't ask her. He just did it anyway. He looked back at her real quick and saw her eyes red and her mouth tight as she forced a smile. Just a puff, kiddo. Not Ryan. Mom nodded. Ryan flicked the lighter again and she shook her head. You're doing it wrong, boy. Well, weird anyway. She took the lighter from him with the weed cigarette and lit it, sticking it in her own mouth and puffing. Elation and relief, pleasure, flashing her features. She sighed. Better? Ryan asked. Slightly. Mom sniffed and brushed her nose. They don't know this, but when the shift is over, I try new strands. This one hits heavy, so that steak, she smacked her lips. Mint. She put up an okay gesture with her fingers, her last 3 fingers sticking out like wings, her index finger and thumb making a circle. The boys know nothing. It's our secret. The Seamus knows now. They heard Seamus crow from the table. Shut it, Seamus. Mom was trying to hold back a laugh, and instead she squeaked. What did she say? Nathan asked him. Grown-up stuff, buddy, Seamus muttered. I'm growing up, so that makes me like a grown-up, Nathan said. Touché, Seamus replied. I'm here. Damien appeared out of nowhere, right next to Mom. Hey, dear. You motherfucker! Mom swore loudly, her face full of surprise. Wow, Mommy, language, Nathan laughed. Sorry, buddy, Mom apologized. You're lucky I didn't stab you, you asshole. Sorry, Nathan, Mom said. I brought gifts, Damien shrugged. He didn't seem worried about being stabbed. Hey, kids, sorry I'm late, I'll explain later. Ryan just gave Damien a weak smile. Mom sniffed again and puffed really long on the weed cigarette. She blew out a longer smoke ring. Ryan just stared. Learn the best, kiddo, she winked at Ryan. And you are the best, my Grace. Damien grabbed her hand and kissed it. Mom's face grew several shades red, despite her darker complexion, but it wasn't from anger. It was from being flustered. She licked her lips and stared at it, seemed lovingly at Damien, whose eyes seemed locked on her own, red eyes to silver. Let's eat some steak, Ryan coughed, and nimbly stepped around them. He sat at the table, and Seamus caught his eye. This is going to be awkward, isn't it? Shut up, Seamus. It's only better if you make it that way. Seamus raised his eyebrow. I'm adopted, remember? Mommy did you amazing on the steak. Nathan licked his lips and proceeded to chow down. No thought of this. Honey, stop talking with your mouth full, Mom said. Nathan burped really loud. Sorry, Mom. My name's Damien. You can call me Damien, or you can eventually maybe call me D. Dad. Yeah, that. Damien said, the word still seemingly hard to come out of his mouth. I'll call you Damien, Seamus remarked. Fair enough, Master Seamus, Damien nodded. I'll call you Dad if Mommy's okay with it, Nathan said. Sure, kiddo, certainly late for dinner. Mom gave Damien a scolding glance. Certainly well deserved. The steak looks lovely, Grace. Good. Now eat, Mom said. And chow down they all began to do. Forks and knives scraped to the plates. Ryan tried to freeze the moment in his head. It seemed easier now under the influence of sweet mythic tusk. Just freeze this moment. He had his mom and his dad and his 2 brothers together, eating one of his favorite dishes in the world. What could be better? Nothing at all. He wanted to bask in it, so he did. Mom and Damien traded glances as the meal continued, and both Nathan and Seamus tucked in. Talk was sparse as they were too busy shoveling their mouths. The gifts Damien said he brought were quickly forgotten, and Orion only barely remembered there was a bag on the porch. Mom and Damien were probably too caught up in their moment to give a rat's ass. Fair enough, Orion didn't know all of the backstory. He just knew one chapter involved himself being created as a result. At least he knew part of how it was done finally. Sometimes, and until this day, no one gets a type of closure or update on their existence. Until this day, Ryan didn't know he did have a sperm donor or father. The word had a lot of weight for some, little for many, and almost no weight for Orion. He hadn't decided if he wanted to carry the burden or not. Tonight seemed like an awesome change. Except it didn't end, that this would mark a change in his life for the better. The Peter's dream a while back would lead nowhere. Life is ugly. Yeah, usually, but not always. Mom had brought ice cream and brought the tub to the table, much to Nathan and Seamus' delight. Ice cream! Both of them cheered. Compliments of Dad. Grace gave a warm, rare smile to Damien, who nodded and grinned. Damien grinned. Thanks, Damien. Thanks, Dad. Nathan fist-pumped the air and immediately dug in. Welcome, kids. Damien looked at Orion and gave a weak smile, his eyes warning to Orion. Enjoy this, kid. Eat every morsel. Dark times ahead. Ryan gulped. Life was ugly. His brothers tucked into their delicious, delicate, delicious decadence of sugar and cream of ice. Well, that was a tongue twister. Ryan tucked in.
You wrote it?
Yeah, I know I did. I was like, when I wrote this, I was like, I wonder how this is going to sound. Like, and I said it out loud, and I'm like, wow, I'm not going to change it.
I love that part in the creative process. Everybody's going to hate this. I'm keeping it in there.
Ryan tucked in as well. He ate the entire bowl, sucking his fingers and feeling like he double dipped because he could still taste the juice of the steak up the ice cream. Nathan yawned. Jameis put his plate and bowl in the sink, and Nathan grabbed Nathan's. Pick up your room, kids. Make sure all your clothes are in the laundry room, Mom called him. Sure, Seamus said, and Nathan was doing a skip dance as he followed him. Mom hugged Damien and kissed his forehead. Didn't expect tonight to actually pan out, Mom told him. I was promised the best, even when things get rough. Always have, always will. Jordan is still operational, no matter who suffers in the process. We take care of our family. Damien said softly. He kissed her hand again. The suffering part is sarcastic, right? Mom said. Obviously. Damien's eyes glittered, shadow passing his face. Did it stop?
Yes.
The fuck?
Yeah.
When?
I don't know.
Huh.
I blinked.
You blinked.
I
Well,
blinked.
I'm gonna keep reading on the YouTube side.
No, you good.
Obviously, Damien's eyes glittered, a shadow passing his face. Ryan left them alone to themselves and went outside to puff on his joint again. He took in the night air, took in the moment, and that he had just had a family meal with a dad. That's what it is like. Ryan let out a deep breath. That's what that is like. He lit the next stick and sucked on it. Mom was cleaning inside already, like always. Back at it again, isn't she? Damien asked him quietly. Ryan nodded. Always is. Cleaning, working, cleaning, taking care of us. I try to help out, but I'm not normal. I am a dream walker. Not a normal life, Damien finished for him. Yeah, normal life promises, dads, moms, walks on the beach, Ryan bit out sarcastically. No, it doesn't. Normal is not normal. Nothing is promised. Absolutely nothing, Damien argued. Okay, Dad, Ryan snickered. I'm being serious. Nothing is promised. The only guaranteed thing is the end. Death, pain, suffering, loneliness, despair. Everything else, family, happiness, identity, that's a gift. Tonight was a gift. And not just for you. I didn't believe tonight would ever happen. I've been around for over several millennia. I've never had a family dinner. Didn't know what that means. Only power. And how to seek and attain it, Damien countered. You mean never? Ryan looked at Damien, mystified. Never. I've had chances of family, had different women I've been around. Hell, men. Oh, luscious men, Damien said. Men? Didn't think you swung that way. Well, you are a demon. Just, Ryan shrugged. He didn't care. I've lived as a man and as a woman, swung both ways. Lived both ways. There's very little difference once you get past the physical self, labor. Damien shrugged again. Noted. Taking notes. For, someone. Ryan smirked. Good. Life isn't always about bloodshed. About power. Sometimes it's about more than that. You'll learn. You've certainly learned more than I did at your age after tonight, Damien patted his shoulder. You said life is ugly, but life as a dreamwalker is hard, Ryan said. And I meant it, every word. Doesn't mean you don't try to enjoy everything else in between, Damien nodded. I didn't believe you'd show up for tonight. I mean, I'd hoped, Ryan said. Good. Hope is what you need. Dig into that. Nathan seems to have enjoyed himself a lot. Good kid, he's a good lad. Wish I'd been around to experience him more before, but this war, this battle brewing, Damien's voice got low. It keeps people apart, keeps them down, destroys people. Ryan nodded. He felt angry before, that it still boiled deep down. He also remembered what Seamus told him about how he felt about Damien and having Dad. He didn't care, he didn't want it. Ryan didn't want to lose his dad, or at least the notion of it, to anger. He said a level of darkness that consumed Alex, that made her crazy, that drove everyone to fight each other. This perilous battle over soul in general, he wanted none of the badness. Next section. They heard movement in the backyard, rustling. And then Ryan heard a deep, throaty chuckle. I found you. You hid from me, but I found you, Dreamwalker. A deep, low voice spelled from the shadows. Damn it, Mephisto, Damien growled. Orion froze, terror beginning to flood his system, which is bad when you're under the influence. Why did he let his guard down now of all times? Ryan put away the weed cigarette and grabbed a weapon of some kind, then remembered his own power, the one that he'd sort of forgotten about since becoming a Dreamwalker. Created a metal bow, waving his fingers. Did a remarkable job keeping me away for as long as you did, but like I told you before, I always come back. Mephisto laughed as he emerged from the shadows, his bat-like wings unveiling in the light from the porch, a circle on his chest, like, hit here. He had red eyes, like... I knew that would make him laugh. He had red eyes like Damien, and other demons, except these were also flickering yellow. And he stood towering, like at least 10 feet. And that's just a rough estimation to Ryan's inebriated state of mind. He looked closer to 20 feet tall, with red orbs glowing on each finger in a shadowed light. The bottom half of his torso was like someone decided that being part spider was a great idea, each leg spindly and long and hairy and thick. Itsy bitsy spider went down the water spout. Orion began to sing in a low voice. Down came the arrows. He shot at least 3 in the air, and one bounced off Mephisto's face and exploded. Bright red flames flying around his thick head, his yellow eyes glowing in the embers. That tickles, Mephisto chuckled. My turn! He flicked 2 legs and caused Orion to fly in the air, and he chose that moment to phase, flickering past this reality into the dream world, seeing through the barrier like he did before, only in a more omniscient perspective like before. He saw Mom came out on the porch. Fear gripped his chest. He phased back in and grabbed her before phasing again. Ah! Mom screamed. I'll put you back, I promise, Orion said. What's going on? Mom shrieked. Mephisto found us. It took him a while, but he found us. I was dreamwalking earlier today, and he dropped the bomb on Damien being Daddy-O. And then we had this awesome dinner, and now he found us again. That's probably why Damien was late. He's delaying Mephisto. Orion rambled as he grabbed Mom's arm and pulled her away from the conflict. Wow, that's a mouthful, Mom said. Show us your steak, Ryan joked. Mom raised an eyebrow. What? Just give me back to Nathan and Seamus. Keep them out of this. Drag Mephisto back to the dream state. I'll do the rest. Mom nodded at Orion. Are you not sure? This guy seems big. Real big. Orion looked at Mephisto, super intimidated. And you're a dreamwalker, honey. Nothing's too big for you. Sure, they're big in scale, but you can accomplish what you set your mind to. Wards. Mom hugged Orion. Be my big boy and save the family. Ryan tried hard not to let the sudden lump in his throat explode through his mouth or out of his chest. Sure, Mom, sure. I'll take the big, bad Spider-Man guy out of this. Ryan nodded his head, realizing how dumb that sounded. Damien had been parrying Mephisto's jabs and waved his hands, causing energy blasts from Mephisto's fingertips to disappear. Ryan grabbed Mom and phased into the living room. And just then, the door to the porch exploded off its hinges, crushing the table. Shit! Ryan screamed. Language, Orion! Nathan smirked at Orion. He felt the blast covering his ears. Is everything okay? No, I'd say not. A bad demon guy attacked me and Damien. Mom said stay out of it. We'll keep you and Seamus out of it, Ryan grunted. We're not just going to do whatever Mom says. Not when he just blew up the porch door, Seamus growled. Red-headed stepchild had balled his fists and bared his fangs. A true vampire warrior. Ryan forgot sometimes that Seamus was adopted, even though he also remembered a lot. He just tended not to embellish on being vampiric. Hey kids, dropping in to see how the family's doing, Mephisto chuckled. He tossed 2 more energy blasts at Seamus and Nathan. Seamus dodged out of the way and grabbed Nathan, who tried ducking as stray sparks grazed his face. Ow! Mom! Nathan cried out. Mephisto jabbed at Seamus with a spidery leg, causing him to fly back and hit the wall hard. Ryan felt every nerve in his body surge with fury. Every bit of anger inside flexed. His mouth stretched, and he felt like the moon had graced him. You don't attack my family and get away with it, Orion balled his fists and flexed his fingers, the claws stretching. Really? How so, Dreamwalker? Mephisto baited him. Seamus hit, and Mephisto hit him again, his eyes rolling back into the back of his head. Ryan did a really dumb thing, but he felt it was justified because Mom told him keep Nathan and Seamus out of it. He charged at Mephisto and shot an arrow to blind him first, charging the walls behind Mephisto. Sorry, Mom, and then caused a lasso to materialize out of his other hand. It snagged on Mephisto's neck, dragging him forward, and Mephisto was taken off guard by the blast, allowing Orion to grab him and phase into the dream state. There was only one problem. Mephisto was only stunned enough to have been delayed in reaction. He grabbed Nathan, and Nathan was jerking his grasp. Stop! Let me go, you mean guy, Nathan cried out. Such a spirited kid. Sorry what I have to do next. Okay, not sorry. But Braxton's orders, and well, I really hate your kind. Watch as I break your light. Mephisto shrugged. He threw Nathan into the air, and while Ryan watched in slow motion, didn't help that his reactions were even slower, and he rushed to grab his brother and save him. Threw the lasso, and the lasso snagged onto his brother's torso, but not before Mephisto's sharp up spider leg stabbed Nathan from behind through the front. Blood sputtered from his mouth after a moment, and the boy hung in the air shocked. Ryan felt his stomach sink, felt his senses convulse into fire. His brain slowed down. His mind felt like it would cave in on itself. His breath caught on his throat. Nathan! Ryan screamed, the word tearing out of his mouth. Fury, rage, terror seizing his chest. Then a surprising thing happened. Mephisto was blasted back with a giant wave of red, and fire surrounded his entire body. His leg was sliced off, blood spraying the air again, pieces of hair and bone matter flying. Veining muscle spewed, and the monster's body singed as he was tossed backwards and slid several feet back. Damien broke through the shadows that surrounded them. Nathan was on the ground, coughing and crying. Ryan had messed with his hair. His eyes flickered on Ryan's face, and Ryan stayed within his gaze, their eyes never breaking contact. Dad, stay with me. I know Ryan is mad. I know Mommy is too, Nathan coughed. Save your breath. We'll get you out of this, Orion promised his brother. Damien put a hand on Orion's shoulder. I won't stop. We won't stop. Not until all light is eradicated from this world. Beelzebub betrayed me when he turned his back for the first time. When he caused the unholy Trinity to fall before. We won't fail again. Be a different world. This isn't over. Mephisto cackled. A low, throaty cackle, and he faded from view, lost to the shadows once more. Don't lose hope, brother. Listen to the mean guy, Nathan coughed. Stay with me. I don't want to go. Nathan's eyes went dark. His body had gone still. We're with you, Nathan. We're with you. Stay with us. We'll fix this, Orion pleaded. His gut told him that Nathan had gone still. He was still warm, but he was gone. Orion, Damien said in a warning tone. No, he's not gone. We'll fix this. You're Damien. I'm a dreamwalker. This is your son, my brother, Orion screamed, tears bored out of his eyes. Orion hugged onto Nathan and Damien pushed him off, pulled out a spider leg, and threw it off to the side. Orion didn't care that blood was oozing from his chest, that he was getting wet. He couldn't let Nathan go. He screamed, howled, and cried out in agony. He felt his chest seize again, his vision blurring as tears kept coming. Damien put an arm around Orion's shoulder. The next several moments passed like this, father, son, and fallen brother. Orion, Damien said after what seemed like a long time had passed. Is there a way? Orion bit out. A way for what? To save him, to stop this. We just had dinner, we just had a family, and now demons took that away. From me, from us, you're demons. That's what also flashed through Orion's head. Yes, there is a way, an unnatural way. It'll come with a cost, Damien remarked. Name it, Orion said. A heavy cost. Is that worth putting your family through it? Putting your mom through it twice? Damien asked. What are you talking about? Orion said. I don't care. I want to save my brother. There has to be something we can do. Brother's already gone. Dead. Let me think for a moment. To contemplate. Damien left Orion with Nathan's body, and it seemed like a minute stretched into each other. Orion studied his brother's face and had a peaceful look. He died in someone else's fight, but he fought against losing hope. He died serving another's cause, just like Orion was always doing for others. Emotionally dying every time, always losing for someone else's gain. More than anything, he wanted to see Nathan crack jokes. Nathan had cracked his green cherry today, despite Seamus' insistence. Let him live a little. Wise old Seamus. This isn't our fight, it's theirs. You were right, Seamus. Damien brought both Orion and Nathan's corpse back to the backyard and phased them back. Beelzebub was waiting there, his eyes glittering crimson in the shadows. Hello, Orion. Terrible, just terrible. Door blown off its hinges, brother killed, Beelzebub tuttled. Shut up, Beelzebub, Orion growled. He didn't understand why it flew out of his mouth. Damien gave a warning glance to Beelzebub and raised his eyebrows at the werewolf cub. Orion, keep yourself chill, Damien chided him. It wasn't a cold tone of voice, however. Beelzebub, we need to save my son. Ah, family matters. That's why you summoned me. Got it. Totally understand. Beelzebub winked at Orion. I'll need my grandson for this next part. Only because I'm bored and he needs to learn about the living and the dead. Why does Peter have to be part of this? Orion bit out. Can't you do it yourself? I can do a lot of things, dear boy, including helping you keep your mouth shut. I'm keeping myself calm, aren't I? Hazel's eyes glowed red. He grinned evilly. I'm under the understanding that my brother Mephisto has escaped lockup. That means dark times aren't just ahead. They're right here. We need to get matters under control, Damien stated. Oh, I do agree with you, Damien, don't we? This will take a lot more than just a simple spell, however. Beelzebub brushed Nathan's forehead with his fingertips. Oh, yes, this will... It'll come with a heavy price. What's going on? What's he talking about? Orion asked Damien. It's about necromancy, Orion. We're saving your brother, just as you asked, Damien replied. Normally the soul just sits tight inside the vessel for quite a while, sure. They wander here and there, usually long enough for a reaper or Peter's grandfather to do his duties, but something is wrong. Beelzebub's mouth became a thin line, his eyes narrowed. What's wrong? Orion asked. Panic gripped his chest. Your brother's soul isn't here. It's missing. Someone stole it. And I think I know who. I know the signature. Beelzebub spoke just above a whisper. What? Orion asked. Mephisto stole it. Mephisto has a soul, somehow. Beelzebub steepled his fingers. What? Mom shrieked from the porch. Nathan, soul, what's going on? What happened? Mom! Orion began to stumbling over himself, panic settling in again. She crossed the distance fast and peered over Nathan's crumpled form and shrieked. No! Nathan! She screamed. Grace! Damien called out to her. You demon, you caused this, Mom growled. No, he didn't, Mom. Mephisto did, Orion countered. You caused Nathan to die. With your involvement in all of this, we need to protect the kids. I need to protect the kids, Mom growled. Grace, Damien pleaded. His face twisted with conflicted emotions, remorse and deep guilt, ripped across his features. His eyes, those dark red eyes pleading. Grace, there wasn't even anger there, just guilt and anguish. You need to stay away from all of us. Before Orion, before Seamus, before Nathan. Nathan cried out. Or Mom cried out. The joint is still protected by the magic placed on it. Don't break off. Not on Nathan's account. We'll fix this in whatever way we can, Beazel countered. No, I can't. Nathan, poor Nathan, you died because of all this, Mom moaned. If you do, the decision is yours. His soul's in limbo and being seized by Mephisto, somewhere out in the dream state, in the mid-world, by the River of the Damned. If you do break away, cast yourself off. May I remind you of your contract you signed before all of this. Long ago, Abraxan gets Nathan's soul. Keep it together. Do what is needed to be done. We'll do the rest. Beelzebub put a hand on her shoulder. Manic grief gripped her face, her form, her composure shattered, and she cried hard, her chest shaking, and Orion held onto her, crying with her. They both cried together as Beelzebub kept smiling weakly, somberly, and Damien held onto both of them together. That's the end of that chapter.
Okay. Well, no, them talking about how come on, names. Should he have names? How Mephisto's different than Damien, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's right. Names and the different dynamics and whatnot. I actually thought that was quite interesting.
Yeah, Mephisto is a spider demon.
Yeah, but I like you try to show. Well, he's not like that. He's not a complete douchebag. He's still a douchebag. He's just not a complete douchebag.
No, I have continuing to evolve. What?
Hand me your phone.
I'm continuing to evolve how like each demon is different from the other. But
okay,
one thing about Damien that's interesting is Damien is not an original demon from original lore. Damien is something that I created ages ago. And I just simply had sort of inserted him into the demon lore as like an ancient demon from like ever ago. Okay. And this current cast of characters that have only been around for a wink of an existence compared to him, they're just one of the eras. It's kind of like when you're a vampire and you live through like hundreds and hundreds of years, and you could be like this arrow guy in one era of your life would set up 100 years, and then you could be like a crazy king guy in another 100 set of years, and then you could just be a regular peasant in the other one because you were hiding because you just got yourself in trouble or something. Like, it's kind of like that with these demons. These demons have eras of their life in which they're either different people or they're different people, and they remember their prep because there's not really a past life. You never died. You just simply had a different era of your life. It's kind of like with Good Omens, the show we're going to talk about, on the fact that in one era of his life he was called Crawley, and in another era he was called Crowley, and how each one of them, they have different lives.
He changed his name because he's like, no, I don't like being called Crawley no more because I'm not crawling around like a snake like when I originally showed up.
Right, and it's like, that was the thing about the Neil Gaiman, the guy who wrote the show, and he also wrote the book with Terry Pratchett. And he pointed that out with the story and the fact that these demons, in his story anyway, have different eras of their life. And I talked about it with my buddy Dylan, who, in a lot of ways, a lot of the character of Damien is inspired by him, is the fact that we both talked about how each demon would probably have eras of their life, where they're either complete scumbags or they're they try to be a decent person, and then like they end up coming. They basically are the proof that people are flawed. And then there's the other side of things where they are really good and then they just fall again and they become complete douchebags again. And so in this particular story, Damien is one of those characters that he's a demon, but he's not an original demon from lore. He's just the guy I created. He's just one of the original demons that I created from scratch. He wasn't someone that I stole from demon lore and was like, there you are, that you're now that for this story.
Okay.
Here's your identity, bitch. Like, that's not what I did.
No, I completely get that, the viewpoint of, no, I'm going to, build my own for my story.
Yeah, and that's kind of how Damien was. And there's a couple demons that are like that, like Sam, or Sam, where it's S''am.
Samael.
It's basically Sam, but like...
Well, like in Lucifer, Samael.
Yeah, kind of like that, except for it's like he's not Lucifer. And he's got his own thing. And, like, I did that a few times for, like, different characters who are demons, but they're not originally from lore. So you can't just Google search their name and cheat and be like, oh, this is what the demon did in this story. No, it's like,
well,
no, they don't exist before because they're his creation.
Yeah, well, I don't know, with the whole demon thing, that shit always fucks because you have. Well, no, because. Hang on a sec. Oh shit, that blocked your face. Oh, fuck it then. No, because I moved it over there because I'm not even going to try to put it up there because then that blocks that camera.
Mm-hmm.
But, no, with the whole demon thing, it's like half the crap you look up on demons, it always goes back to, for me, I mean, they talked about it in Good Omens, and they always talk about it in Supernatural and other shows like that. It's like, yeah, what's the first thing out of your mouth? A lie. Why? Because you're a demon.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, no, I'm not lying to you. I'm actually telling you the truth. I'm not like the rest of the assholes.
Yeah, and that's something
Are you
about,
sure about that?
like Crowley himself. Like, he either gives half truths, or he gives full truths, and he always promises Dean and Sam. He's like, I'll never fully lie to you. Like, I'll never intentionally lie to you. Like, maybe some parts of it will be obscured because they will be. And maybe some parts of it, it'll be because I didn't know that was going on, and so he's kind of like, he's that guy who will always try to tell the truth as much as possible, and not screw himself over in the process. And so that's what kind of made Crowley an interesting character, because he wasn't just the evil like Yellow Eyes. Yellow Eyes didn't have a lot of depth to his character because he was not like that.
That's what I always think is weird. Yellow eyes, and then you have red-eyed demons, and then you have black-eyed demons. It's like, people. Why is that the one thing you gotta show that's different? Because that's all you see, because they're possessed. It's like, but why the eyes? Why colors? Why can't we, find some other feature?
I did find a character that you connected with a lot in that story, though. That part of the story. Seamus.
Yeah.
The way, I didn't even give him that much screen time, and yet in those few pages where he was centered and where I gave him that monologue, you were just like, yep, that's me. And I'm like watching this, and I'm like, I can hear it too. I can hear the shift, because before it's like, normally when I'm reading any stories out to you, you just sort of it's like I'm pelting people at you nonstop, and some of them stick, and then some of them you're just like, I don't remember their names. But with Seamus, it was you straightened up like this. Like, I felt you shift in your chair, and you're just like, oh yeah, I get that. And I'm just watching this, and I'm like, okay, I get it now. I'm gonna put more Seamus in the second book. I've learned that. He was already gonna get more screen time, but now he's gonna get more screen time because
he's that books for me because
he's that. Well, but see, that's the thing though, is I already want to expand on him because he was originally one of Peter's best friends in the original story. And he eventually ended up falling back because the characters became more, and some of Orion came in. Some of Seamus bled into Orion, and stuff like that happened. But Seamus is going to be more center stage in this next book because he has to take the place of a couple other characters that are taking him backstage, and so stuff's going to get shifted around. And also because Nathan's role is changing in the story. And so it's because, in this book he's dead, as we just barely, found out. So Nathan's character is going to introduce the fact of, what happens when you die and become a spirit, a very angry one. And you go from being a dreamwalker to a mare walker. Remember the mare from Phasmophobia?
Yeah.
Yeah, you're going to start learning about that. In fact, in chapter 3, when we go into Orion's perspective in the second book, you're going to meet the mare. And it's going to be a interesting interaction because we're going to be dealing with Orion's grief still. Because remember how I said that the first act of the second book, we're dealing with where characters are emotionally. We're also dealing with their headspace first before I start special effecting it up. And so, I'm going to be dealing with what they feel. It's kind of like how this season was with the Lucifer season 5, B. Because 5A was more like, we're getting to this point of the story, we're introducing God eventually, and we're doing some other stuff.
We're on 5 with, the doctor and...
Yeah.
Daniel.
Yeah.
Or Danny, whatever. The detective.
Yeah, Daniel.
They're getting a whole episode to them, essentially.
Yep.
And I was like, okay, no, I like this because it's not just Lucifer and the detective and, that thing. It's actually, no, we're going to show a little bit of everything.
Well, you notice how, like, in this season, they did, like, a lot more with Daniel and did a lot more with a few of the other characters, and it wasn't just a constant special effects fest.
Oh, yeah,
It was straight up, like,
well,
emotionally
on
driven.
the Daniel episode, I thought it was funny because a minute it'll help. I'm not a taxi. Dude, I just need help. Give me back to my fucking house, please.
Yep.
Fine, here. Wait, what? Jump in my arms, you big fucking baby.
And he's just like, I'm either gonna faint or throw up or both. Probably both.
And it's just like, you're a douchebag. But no, I remember when he told Maze, and Maze is just like, oh, so he just carried you like a baby.
Yep.
Shut up, bitch. But I mean, the way she grows too.
Yeah.
And God basically says, "Who says you can't have a soul? Who told you that, bitch?" Wait,
yeah.
what? And then she falls in love with Eve.
So before we
but
deep
Eve won't
dive,
be immortal.
So before we deep dive into Lucifer, because I'm about to. Just trust me, I'm about to. I absolutely love season 5B. Like it's one of my favorite parts of the entire show, like in all of existence. But anyway.
Well, yeah, you've already expressed that.
Yeah, a little bit. Like I was very reserved though. That's the thing. Not once have I gone to Amber and been like, guys, what happened to Lucifer? Like I haven't done any of that. I haven't been like explosively on the internet being like, oh. Like I've been keeping it all inside. It's about to explode. But basically, what is your favorite chapter in the book so far?
What, in your book?
Of the debut, yeah. So I'm writing the sequel, but what's your favorite part of the debut?
I don't really have favorite chapters. I just either I like this story or I don't. Okay. I mean, I like certain parts.
You have favorite parts of Dragon Ball, and you have favorite parts of all these other shows.
That's a TV show. Book doesn't work like that with me. With the way I process info, it doesn't. It just doesn't in my head. It doesn't process the same. Cause, well, it just because reading a book processes different than like watching a TV show or a movie for me. And that's just me personally. That's why I've never been a big reader because I can get into the stories, but it's either I see it or especially with TV shows and movies, I actually have a physical representation of the story. I ain't gotta, try to process it or have, the characters sitting there in my head.
Yeah.
I actually said it. Somebody did the fucking hard work for me by making them into actual physical characters. Where on some of the books, I don't see it. Even with the description they give on some of them, I don't see a picture. Okay, you're telling me a story. Just tell me the story.
So your big thing is either audiobooks or live action.
Yeah, I have to see it.
Okay.
And if it's not an audiobook and somebody else is reading to me, sometimes it doesn't process the same.
Okay.
But also for me, that's also sometimes when I read it, it depends on my day, depends on my mood, depends on, time of day too, on a lot of things. Like with the kids, sometimes I can just sit there and read for hours.
Yeah.
Because I get into the story. I have a picture in my head already. And I know what I'm getting into. With some of the stories, it's like, okay, I'm just reading you this story. I'm clearly not into this. Y'all really want me to keep reading this story? No, you don't seem like you like this story. It's boring as hell to me. I'm sorry. Let's pick a different story. Okay.
Are you getting bored of the debut?
Of the what?
Are you getting bored of me reading out the story?
No.
Okay.
Certain parts of it click, and certain parts of it just don't click in my brain.
Okay.
Because the way I process info. And I understand where some of the characters where you used inspiration from people in your actual life. I see that. But at the same time, it's like, but I already know these people. Why am I listening to a story about them? But it's just the way I'm processing it, or the way my brain processes it.
So here's a hint.
When I read it myself, it processes differently than when you're reading it, but that's also because you're the creator, so you do little eonces, and I think that's
when I wrote the story, I was not writing the story with
nuances.
anybody in real life in mind. Like, yeah, there were
Not
flashes of
consciously.
like Brenda in there. There were flashes of like my actual mom in there, like in that part of the section of the story. But in all reality, I was going with the bare basics of boy finds out he has a dad, and we're gonna dig into the layers of what that means for this character. And boy has a moment with his brothers, and then after we're done with the
one.
cutesy,
Well, that doesn't matter. I'm just adopted. He's your actual dad. Ha ha, motherfucker. I thought that was priceless.
Like, you got the family dinner scene with all the characters in their little family dinner thing, and then after that, we end up being reminded of the fact that there is a demon conflict going on, and that takes center stage. Even in Orion's family life, he still can't escape the demon interference, and having a demon involved in his life is helping cause that. And then we end up finding out that it causes the death of one of his family members. And so the plain plot of the story is still intervening on this character's life. And so I'm focusing on the bare basics of what that means, and then focusing on what consequences come out of that. And so I'm not telling a story of like, oh, this happened in my life or whatever. I'm like going, in this particular character's life, this is happening, and these archetypes are happening. Let's dig deeper into what that means and how it's going to make them feel. Because I write emotion. Like, I write emotion into the story and I write emotion into these characters. So that's kind of what that is.
But for me, the way you write is the way I tell stories, and I don't know, some of it conflicts with listening to a story or reading a story, but I understand it. So it's kind of, I have a picture, but on some of it, it's like, okay, it just doesn't click, I guess, for memory. But my memory is also not as good as it used to be.
I do know that I gained one serious fan from Orion's part of the story, because one of the people that on Goodreads left a review, actually, and they said, nice. Orion's my boy, and if anything else bad happens to him, I will cry. And I'm like, okay, book 2. It's gonna break your heart. I'm going, shit.
Yeah, but you've already written the story out, or at least you know where the story's going, so it's like, alright, I just gotta type it out.
Yeah, it really is what it comes down to, is I'd have a lot of
I always had trouble with that, because
books mapped out, and so I just have to just go in there and do the things.
But see, I have it mapped out, I just have an issue with putting it on, typing it out. I can tell a million stories. They've seen it. You've heard it. Yeah. I don't have an issue telling stories. I have an issue with putting it out on paper or typing it up on my computer. It's just my brain doesn't work like that. Mates, shut up. Give me a camera. Give me $5 million. I'll make a TV show or a movie.
Yeah.
Because I don't know. That's what process. I'm a visual learner more than a, here's the book. Give me shit about a book. Can we put it on like video? Or like fucking tape so I can just listen to the bullshit.
Majority of members of my family are like that. It's fine.
Well, I'm a visual learner. I mean, that's where math. Here's the number. Here's the answer. Okay, here's 5 equations. What's the answers? Answers this, 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 and this. How did you figure it out? What do you mean figure it out? That's just the answer.
Yeah.
What was your process? You showed me how to do the equation. The answers were just there. Because for me, it's visual. I have to... And that's where I had issues with one of my teachers in high school. He's like, well, if you just do it all in your head, and he tried to give me an equation, I grabbed a piece of paper, grabbed a pen, started to write it down, because I still had it in my head, and I was still processing. And then, great math teacher, great teacher in general, just a great guy. But then he interrupted me. Oh, yeah, see, you have to write it down. I'm like, no, alright, you know what? Drop paper, drop pen. I'm done having this argument with you. Fuck off. And I left. No, I literally told him, you know what? You used to be my favorite teacher, but now since you're going to be a dick and not let me write down the equation so that way I can see it, because it's all visual for me, and once I see the equation, because I can't just have it floating in air.
Yeah.
Now, doing the actual equation, all the math for it, I can have floating in there because I don't need to write that down. But I need to actually see the fucking equation.
One thing I've noticed that's between the yarn that I've been spinning with this story and over the next 5, however many books I do.
20. You'll be one of those writers, no offense. I already see it.
But, like, it's not a bad thing. And then you got Lucifer, and then you got the devil guy in the Book of Omens with Crawley and with Festival or whatever his name is. All these characters, like Sabrina Teenage Witch.
It's like, why do you have to add all the blah, blah, blah? Castiel, it's like, okay, at least that one's easy.
And you
no offense, that's what I thought
Sabrina.
When they gave out that name. It was the easy, simple.
I was watching Sabrina last night,
that.
and I was watching Sabrina last night, and I was like, suddenly realizing when I was watching a couple of the episodes that the Lucifer on Sabrina and the Lucifer on Lucifer makes him pale in comparison when it comes to like engagement and things like that. And I was like suddenly realizing, I'm like going, Lucifer on Sabrina is cool and all, but the Lucifer, like Tom Ellis on Lucifer, fucking eats up, like chews the scenery, chews the shit out of it. And so like whenever he's on screen,
that's
like
how the
larger
character
than
was
life.
built, though.
Yeah, I know, I understand that.
And I like that part.
But I found that interesting, especially since on Good Omens, Lucifer just talks to a radio. Like, you don't actually ever meet Lucifer. He just talks to the radio, and that's it.
Well,
that's
you haven't seen the end, so.
The last episode, from what I understand, Lucifer shows up at the very end. From what someone told me.
It's the basic bullshit Lucifer.
You just tapped my book when you said that.
Uh-huh. The
Dude.
demon with the horns. That's it. The basic bullshit demon Lucifer thing that everybody likes to put on the paintings and shit.
But that's a Braxton.
The demon fish with the big ass horns.
Yeah.
Like Raven's Dead.
Okay.
It's the basic asshole, the original demon.
Mm.
It's like, God, that's so lazy of a fucking goddamn portrait of a demon. That's what pissed me off about the end.
Did you just call our design of Abraxan on the book cover, at least, of the demon form? Did you call that lazy?
Yes. Sorry. But that's also my viewpoint of demons and like Lucifer and shit. That's where it's also my viewpoint on that sort of thing. It's like, yes, everybody in hell. You mean angels who didn't get bodies because they decided to say, fuck you, we're gonna stay with Lucifer, any spirits that decided that sort of thing. Because I mean, if you look at any of the mythology of the Christianity, or anybody who believes the mythos of the Bible, the first Adam was I think it was Gabriel?
Did you know I originally wanted to have... I originally wanted to have Amber draw just a face right here, or to draw a version of Abraxan on the cover, and then Andrew heavily pushed to have him be a dark guy in the background with horns on his head. No, not really. It's a concept of Abraxan.
But see,
and I think in the second book we're going to show him more.
I understand why, but in my head it's the basic fucking blank demon to scare you. I'm evil.
Yeah.
And for me, it's just like, that's not fucking scary. But that's also my viewpoint. That's not everybody else's viewpoint. And I understand that, and at the same time, for me, because of the way I understand the mythos of what demons and angels are, and how technically, if you want to look at it from my point of view, my mythos is all angels. We just decided to sign the packet to come to Earth, so that way we decide to either let the human tendencies of killing and destroying the world and shit, you know, that sort of freaking mentality.
Mm-hmm.
Either we still proved that God's plan was good because we kept our angel, you know, thing and proved that we were still good souls. We got back to home, heaven, essentially. And then you got the souls like me, like, no. God was gonna win.
What if I had
so
her?
I was on God's side, but now that I'm here, I don't give two shits.
What if I had her take a different, like, just alternate the covers to a bit for, like, the hardcover, and have it to where Abraxan looks like the Abraxan that she drew when he was naked.
The original?
Well, it's not original. It's just two different versions of him. Hold on, I'm going to show you, because, you know, we're on the computer and
You
not
can't.
stopping YouTube. Yeah.
No, they're not gonna stop. They're just like, what are you saying, dude? Don't worry about it. You'll see it when and if the fuck you see it.
This guy.
Yeah, now see, that I could, like, completely get behind, because it's like, yes. Like, the whole Lucifer thing, he's got the... I think it's funny, Lucifer has the white wings and the actual angels have black wings.
Yep, but I was thinking about maybe putting this, like, having her work this onto here.
Oh, no, I could completely see that.
Like, have that be, like, an alternate version of the cover.
Have yeah, that'd be the hardcover.
To where, like,
well,
he is,
with
like,
the wings with the hook... Because I see that as... Did you ever watch the series Gargoyles?
Yes.
That's what I see. Because it's got the hooks, like Goliaths, where they just come around and they hook up here up front.
Yeah.
So, with that, I see that as... You know, you could have the wings be like his cape.
Yeah.
Like Goliath, with them hooking here up front. And still have the wings... Maybe not as many, you know, holes in them.
Have it to where
he can still fly.
Have it to where he's like floating behind Sam with his arms outstretched and the wings are outstretched across each building piece, and then still have the title right there.
Well, I think it'd look cooler if the wings were like the cape around his body.
That's what I was thinking.
But
it's like have it to where it looks like he's fucking Count Dracula or something.
Oh yeah.
And yet he's got like his arms outstretched like this,
like,
and it looks like the wings are part of his arms, but they're not.
Yeah, either the horns are part of the, you know, wings, or he has such small horns that you don't see them in his human form. Because that's the whole, yes, I'm a demon. Here's roar.
Yeah, and
just to scare the shit out of kids thing.
And have, like, the snaking tattoos on his chest like they're supposed to be, because she didn't draw the snaking tattoos on his chest in that picture.
Well, yeah. No, I understand that. But it also comes back to, okay, are we doing a PG, or are we doing a... It looked kind of like she did. I have to draw the smoke here, because it's like, Naruto, you have to get the smoke for the naked women, sort of.
Yeah. But wouldn't that be interesting, though? Is if, like, I rework the cover just a bit to add that detail and, like, change him from being the demon guy in the background?
I think the hardback cover should always be different than the soft cover.
Yeah.
Because some of the books I like, when they do the soft cover, softback cover versus the hardback cover, there's always a slight difference. Either it's big and you notice it, or if you're not paying attention, you'll never fucking see it.
Yeah.
But for those fans or those people who have a brain like mine, you instantly see it. If you're gonna do that, put the actual fucking book on screen, jackass, so that way they can see it. Free promotion.
What's even funnier is that when I end up, if I end up changing that on the cover thing, the people who actually like that version will end up buying the cover more.
Oh yeah.
They'll end up buying it just for the cover. They'll be like, I want this edition because that one's a better one.
Or I like this picture more.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah, no. You completely get people like that. That's like me with the whole... With certain books I like, it's...
You notice how I didn't even get offended when you said it was a basic thing? I'm just like, you're like, yeah, it looks lazy. And I'm just like, okay, well, I have another version in my head that I could use. And I could just rebrand it. I can. Because I have studied the industry.
I don't like this demon picture. I'm going to put it in the
I've literally studied this industry of publishing and of business and things like that since I was 13.
I know, because you talk about it all the time.
And
fucker.
I already know that, like, whether it's international, whether it's Germany edition, Japanese edition. Do you know in Percy Jackson, when Rick Riordan was unveiling Percy Jackson? I know we're jumping topics a little bit, but when Percy Jackson was being first announced, and when he went into like the 10 years later type thing, he did an entire panel with a bunch of kids, and he showed all 30 covers all throughout the world because it was translated like 60 times. He went and through and showed every single cover edition that was for the first 3 books of Percy Jackson, and each one of them were completely different.
Oh yeah, no.
Like there was one where Percy Jackson is literally falling off a building, and Zeus is doing this. I am Zeus, and like it's a stupid fucking cover, but I think it was the Germany or Australian edition.
That sounds like their fucking mentality.
So it's like, okay, that's the version they have, and so it got in my brain. I got my brain at like 19 years old, and I was like, wait a minute, you can have 30 fucking versions of a cover. That means you could literally take a test drive 20 failed versions of a cover and then resell that bitch when you publish it, and then republish it and republish it over and over again in all these other places, and you could just simply rehash art like crazy, and it works, and nobody gets mad at it.
The art. That'd be like, here, put her over here, move the dog over here.
Yeah, like if you find out
rearrange
that, like
the
something,
characters.
yeah, or if you just completely go with a completely different cover idea, and you could have this version be one edition, you could have the other edition be like with the Braxton, the other version of a Braxton.
It would be like,
and then like in
edition,
another
edition.
in another edition, you could end up having it to where, like, say it's being sold in Japan, and this just does not resonate with Japan. You could just find out a completely different cover that's completely different, and you'd be like, here you go, here's Japanese.
What is it? The big fucking goddamn Godzilla and whatnot. What the
Zero.
The fucking damn breed or whatever the hell it's called for the giant things.
You mean the Mothra or the?
Yeah, Mothra, King Kong, Godzilla. What they call them?
The monster guys. I don't remember exactly what they're called.
But you know what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
That sort of, they have a word for it. It's like, no, so we're gonna do it as this, and do it sort of like that, where the demons looks like a Godzilla sort of demon thing, and then it's just kids, and for the Japanese. That's where my mind goes.
Yeah. I'm hoping Amber's willing to do that, by the way. Because if she isn't, and she's like, just like, I'm done being, I'll be like, fuck.
No,
I'll have to figure out how to do it. To figure out how to do it.
We'll find a cheap version of Photoshop, or you make enough money you end up buying Photoshop, and then we'll just fucking take all the pictures she's already drawn.
She gets kind of shitty about that.
I don't give 2 fucking shits what she thinks. If she's not gonna draw the bitch, I'll fucking rework that motherfucker in Photoshop.
Yeah, because she gets shitty about that. Like, she's not like me, where she gets like super passionate and super excited about it, and it's like, babe, we could do this thing, and she doesn't get like that. She just is like, I have to fucking work it again, my fucking god, and she like gets into like real shitty about it. She goes on about how she wants to be an artist, now she wants to get commissions and this and that, and I'm just like, dude, if you're gonna want to do commissions and you want to make it as an artist, you gotta change your attitude, sweetie. You gotta stop being such a shitty, salty person.
She's salty because I haven't made no money doing it. Dude, we're trying to show you how. You do this, you sign the bottom with your little artist, whatever your signature is, and then everybody will know, no, she's the artist. Look at her art. Because if she does 15 to, like you were saying, 30 different fucking, well, actually 60, because 30 for the soft, and then another 30 for the hardbacks.
Yeah, like if you do like different versions, but like.
But that's what I'm saying.
See, and I don't sell that much. Like, I know that I promote it on this podcast, and I know that I tweet about it and shit like that. But I hardly ever get. I put it for free again for a week. I guess how many copies got given away? 3. So it's just like, and that was for free. And you make no money off that. So I'm just like going. I'm like thinking about how when she complains about not getting money off her art, and I'm just like. You really think I'm making millions? Like, you realize that all the money that came in, that we have, came in from weddings, came in from photo events. Like, that's what it came from. It didn't come from me fucking selling a book. Like, book is literally the least selling thing I've got right now. And so it's just like, I'm not doing it for the money.
5 to 10 years, and then somebody will click it, and then it'll become the biggest fad.
Maybe, yeah. Like, it's not a high chance of that.
Well, no, because, what is it? We're up here in the next year or 2, maybe 3, for the new vampire and werewolf thing to come back up.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, they did it with Resident Evil. It's now vampires, werewolves, and robot zombies.
Yeah.
So, because of that sort of thing, my thought is it'll come back up. Somebody will be looking for a different type of werewolf vampire thing, and they'll find werewolf vampires and demons. Ooh, that sounds like Supernatural.
What's funny is part of the reason why I've been writing now is not to show myself that I can do it again, because that's just a small, that's
part of it.
That's just, it's so minute as a goal.
You know you can do it, so it's just doing it.
Yeah. It's me being like, in a year or two, if I've already written 2 more books, then I can at least go to someone and be like, hey, I've written this, like, I've done this, and then if, like, we end up actually getting an editor to actually help proofread and everything for the second 2 books and whatever, Amber does covers for them, like, I could put them on the internet, they could bomb or they could do really well, whatever, and I can at least go to someone and be like...
Does that mean I need to get back into drawing and improve my finger?
Probably. And, like, and I'll sit there and I'll be like, I can at least go to someone and be like, hey, I did an entire, trilogy or did an entire series, and I can at least have it to be proud of. And then, like, say the first one isn't someone's thing, but yet the second one and the third one are, or the 5th one or the 7th one, I can at least be like, hey, I did those things. I did that at one point. I'm not just being like, oh, I'm going to do that, or this is what I plan to do. Like, I've done...
Now that COVID kind of BS is starting to lift.
Yeah.
With the whole, no, stay at home. Come out. Get sick. Love each other.
Get sick.
Well, no, I mean, because that's always the funny part. Because people are like, why the fuck are you wearing masks? It's like, cover my ass. Because I don't know which one of you fuckers been vaccinated or not. Why would I get vaccinated? Because it causes all this shit. And my thought is, but what if it gives us all superpowers for us who gets vaccinated?
Oh, no, you got vaccinated twice. You got the 2 shots. You got the two punch shot. So, did you get any superpowers?
Not yet. I'm still working on it. It's just made me tired. I'm in cocoon mode. Give me 6 months.
Yeah, guys. By the way, Karnage here got vaccinated. He got fully vaccinated. Pfizer. That's what he got. And I'm working on my time. I'm working on getting to the point where I have the 2-shot combo, which means I may have to take some days off work. But hey.
You just gotta schedule it. I mean, fuck, it's free. And when I found out it's free, it's like, okay, I'm down. Let's actually see if something happens. But my thing is, with the way they, through my research, the way they...
We just promoted the COVID vaccine. You're welcome, YouTube.
Oh, fuck off, assholes. I don't promote anything. No, but I did it for the simple fact is, alright, let's see what happens in a year. Having the vaccine. Because I've also listened to a whole bunch of people... Yeah, getting the vaccine, there's nothing wrong with that, but you gotta remember, too, just because you get the vaccine doesn't mean the idiots who aren't just, if they catch it, aren't basically becoming incubators to throw out a new freaking version of 19.
Yeah.
So that way we'll call it 20 or 56 or, whatever the fucking year. No, 21, bitch, because it came out new in 2021. So it's now COVID-21. It's like, it's the same fucking thing. It's just evolved. Oh, wait. That means it's like everything else on Earth. I evolved. You can't kill me. Oh, great. Welcome to the fucking fight for bullshit life. Here's hoping we make it. But, I mean, that's how I look at everything. Yay, you evolved to the point where you're not the thing that dies instantly.
Yep.
But half of your population dies. What's the next evolution going to look like?
So far, what is your favorite part of Lucifer, the show? What's season 5?
From what I've watched, because I got like 3 episodes left.
5
well, 3
episodes.
and a half.
Yeah.
I got 3.5 episodes left.
What's your favorite one?
But actually, so far, is the Dan one.
The Dan naked and afraid Dan Espinosa.
Yeah, Dan Espinosa, naked and afraid. I thought that one was funny because Lucifer was trying to play a prank on him, but it actually got him out of his little funk.
Yes.
He's like, oh, that's not what I was trying to do. I was trying to be a smartass because you shot me, douchebag.
Yeah.
and at the end when he said that, I'm like, oh, that's just priceless. It's a middle finger to Lucifer because Lucifer's always trying to fuck with Daniel.
Yeah.
Or Dan. And it's just like, haha.
Yeah, like he literally
I'm
spent
glad
like,
YouTube
over
didn't see that, but they fucking saw it.
over $5 million later. He's just like, this is the ultimate prank ever, and he's just like, you helped me with this thing, and he's like, that's not what I was doing. He's like, why were you trying to do this? Like he's literally in his mind going, you humiliated me, you caused me to lose my sanity, all these other 2-3 concussions, and he's like, you shot me, fucker. And he's just like,
I remember because then he's like, motherfucker, I got 6 concussions.
Yep, and he's just like, and then suddenly you can see the look on Dan's face. He's like, you shot me, motherfucker, and he's just like going, what the fuck?
Well, for me, that was just you funny fuck. But on the next episode, I liked it where God told the CSI
Yeah.
that just remember the darkness also means the brighter the light.
Yeah.
And you are the brightest light. And then something clicks and she goes over to the computer. And then, because I'm at the part where they're talking to the chick, telling her, we know what the fuck you did, you dumb bitch.
Yeah.
But I mean, I haven't got past that point. So I'm literally at the end of episode, I think it's 5 or 6. But, I mean, no, not 6. But 8 or 9. I lose track of the fucking numbers of the episodes. I'm on this episode, this is what happened.
Yeah.
But I like it that the actor that has playing God in the character is like, no, you are the brightest light. I see you from heaven, sweetheart.
Yeah.
And then it clicks, and then she goes, and then, hey, I found the door didn't open. Where'd he go? Wait, was I actually just talking to God? You see the idea pop into her head.
Yeah.
And then it's like conflicts the whole thing, but she doesn't want to think about it, so she just goes back to what she's doing, and I'm like, conflict resolution, and I'm not going there yet.
Yep.
Move on to the next step. I'm going back to regular life.
Yep.
But I thought that part was funny because, yes, us who have the most evil, most devilicious sort of like, well, what everybody else would consider like psychotic or psychopathic thoughts on how evil everything is. It's like at the same time, we're also the people that see the brightest shit, or we're the brightest person in the room because, yes, this is how evil everything is. But at the same time, we're not all dead and we're not all killing each other on a daily basis every 5 seconds.
Yeah. Oh, I actually found, one of my favorite things about the season, actually, at least season 5.2, because it's 5.1, 5.2.
Second half, yeah.
Yeah, is that Lucifer doesn't just go through 2 or 3 story arcs for this entire season, really, season 5. In season 5B, he ends up going through like 2 or 3 different arcs of his character because they pack the shit out of these episodes. Because normally with Lucifer season, you get like 3 episodes. What normally they would tell in like 3 episodes in this season,
3 or 4, yeah.
They tell everything in 1 episode. Like every episode is packed full of content, and they don't stretch anything out. It's pretty great.
Do you see what the background is for the whole 6 through 12 or whatever the hell it is?
Yeah.
6 through 12. Do you see what the whole background thing is?
Yeah.
Okay, what's your viewpoint on what it is?
The background that I'm seeing when it comes to this season with 5B is the idea of what would you do if you had the power to control everything and the ability to be able to influence things one way or the other, and what would you do with that power, and how would it relate to your family? That's one of the themes of this entire second half of the season. Because they spend 3 to 6 episodes with God in it. Like, he shows up, and then there's even 1 episode where they play around. They literally show all the stuff they would have done over 3 seasons with a character like God, and they do it over 6 episodes. And they even have one where he's like, I'm human now. And, like, so he plays around as a human. And normally they would, give a couple different filler bullshit episodes where he's human, and you're, like, literally waiting for him to go back to being God, and you're like, come on, just be God already again, so we can push the story along. They pack everything into 1 set of 6 episodes. It's meaty as shit. And this entire second half of the season is about control. It's about control. It's about who is controlling what and where and why. And it's about answering the question of that Lucifer has been dealing with since day 1. Of who is in control of his life, why are they in control of his life, and how are we going to get to the point where he can finally accept who he is as a person? Because he spends 4 seasons blaming multiple different people in his life about why things happen to him and why everyone's around him doing the things they're doing. And half the time, it's off of him blaming his mom, him blaming his dad, him blaming, Daniel Espinosa, Detective Douche, or blaming all these other people in his life about why propagandas happen. He calls the Bible propaganda. He calls all these different elements of his life different things. And several times throughout the season, and the doctor, the therapist herself, comments on it, and it's like, you always take 3 steps forward, but then 5 steps back. And as soon as he starts getting what she's saying, he then flips it around and turns it into something else. And she's like, naturally, you received nothing. And so, like, there's always this poking fun at the fact that Lucifer will take 1 step forward and then 2 steps back. And he will start to arc as a character, and then suddenly his immaturity will kick into place, or his narcissistic personality will cause him to swerve off to the left when you're expecting him to go right. And so half the time in the second half of the season 5, what they normally would have stretched out over the course of 2 seasons between 5 and 7, and by the time you're at that point at 7, you're just like, what the fuck are they doing? They instead decided to compact it into half a season. And so they're answering the question that they've been asking since episode 1 of season 1, which is, who is in control and how do we get from point A to Z? And so it's control, identity, and internal conflict is what they're dealing with here. They even deal with that in season 4 when he goes to hell, when he revisits hell. And he's talking to that guy who just won't accept his own grief because he's, trying to get him to see his grief. And the whole time, Lucifer's really trying to get himself to see his own problems, but he's projecting it onto the guy, who later on shows up. I won't spoil that part, but he later on does show up again. And he goes to hell, and he talks to the guy who won't accept his grief and won't go see his family. And Lucifer, the entire time, isn't even seeing the fact the guy can't see his family. He's literally projecting onto the guy his own issues, like he always does with everybody. He's always projecting onto someone else about what he's dealing with himself. And the second half of season 5 is literally asking the question of control. That's what the background is.
That's how you see it.
Yeah.
I see it completely different.
Okay.
From what I've seen,
of being a viewer.
From what I see, it's him through the actions and whatnot. From what I've seen so far, is him basically the universe trying to smack him in the face. Dude, the reason your daddy wasn't always around and shit is because, sorry, he had to run the whole fucking universe.
I mean, that's
he
part
had
of it.
He had to do all this shit. He didn't just throw you in hell. He threw you there because he knew you'd be the one to judge. You're a good judge. You're a good jury executioner. You're the good whole match. But especially with the episode the couple episodes where Dad's retiring. We gotta, I want to be God. As Lucifer. A minute it was like, I don't want to. I want to be here with my family. And, whatever. Detective, the one he calls Detective, is talking about, yeah, but did you listen to your dad at the dinner you dragged him to with my mom? He never had enough time for you guys because he was always doing his job. Well, I want to change that. Well, you can't if you're running every fucking thing, every universe, and everything that God's ever created.
Yeah.
That's what I liked about it. It's like, dude, you blame him for everything, but you don't even know the fucking job he does, jackass.
Yeah, it's part of the projecting, and it's part of control. It's part of him projecting his issues on other people.
But I mean, some people do that anyways. It's a human default. And that's like him. Well, hell, if my dad can't love me, even though that's not what the fuck the message, which is a big stupid sack of shit. That pissed me off. I shouldn't have to tell you.
Oh, you mean the part where he's like, do you love us, Dad? And then God's like, if I had to tell you, then I failed or whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah, that part. That's the thing.
That clicks with me because if I gotta tell you I love you,
it resonated with me so goddamn much.
But also at the same point in time, on that note, it's also have you ever said it, motherfucker? Because if you don't say it once, then no offense, there's no fucking proof anywhere.
What's funny is that part, especially that part of the show where they're having the dinner. The reason why I told you it was heavy, because I didn't go into why it was heavy. I just simply said it was heavy.
No.
No, I never went into why, because of the fact that I was letting you watch the show, and instead of just spoiling everything, I was like, hey, it's heavy. That shit is heavy and whatever. Because you were telling me you'd seen it and stuff, and I was like, no, he hasn't. But like, I wasn't gonna like explicitly say that. But like, I was like,
well, you asked me, I'm like, as far as I know, I'll have to look at it.
Yeah, well, you.
And then when I looked at it, I'm like, oh, it was like fucking. It's 6 episodes I've ever seen. Okay, no, I have to.
Yeah, but that's why
I didn't realize it.
Why I sat back and was like, okay, well, I'll wait for him to actually see it before I can talk about it. But the reason why it was so heavy for me is because that particular element, that particular moment where you have 3 sons who are all vying for a dad's affection and respect.
Yeah.
That's me and my siblings. And the whole thing where he's cryptic and he's like naturally always like he's trying to, he finds humor in things and he's kind of oblivious and kind of dense despite the fact he's supposed to be omniscient and whatever. That's my dad. And when he's trying to like be cryptic and be like, very much like, I'm going to hide or conceal whatever the actual answer is, but I want you to get to that point where you see it and stuff like that, but you wouldn't understand it if I told you, that sort of thing. That's how my dad works. So when I was watching this, I was like, I feel that. That's a mood. And then when, like, Lucifer's literally, like, being the disobedient child, he's being the misunderstood child and, like, attacking, his dad, and he's, like, just being honest at the dinner.
I think the one thing is the only person who misunderstands Lucifer is his damn self because he doesn't see it.
Well, see, that's the thing, though, is Amenadiel is literally one of the characters, I'm not going to explain everything because you haven't seen the finale yet, but he's one of the characters that by the time we get to the finale of season 5, Amenadiel and Lucifer are like this. Like, they started out the very beginning of the show, very first episode, in fact, just like that. Like, they weren't like this at all. They were like that. And by the time you get to season 5, like the very end of the season, like the very finale, they are so tight-knit and just so basically that bond is there that it's intense.
The God character is like, children, stop fighting.
Yeah, like, I love that.
Lucifer was trying to pick a fight slightly with Michael, but Michael had also just showed up for the first half of the season and completely tried to fuck up all of Lucifer's life. So it's like, he's being a dick, Dad. No offense, you didn't do shit about it. Now you're fucking there. Take care of the bitch.
Yeah, and
because he's just a jealous little asshole because he thinks I get all your love when I'm the one who got thrown in hell.
Yes,
how the fuck is that all your love?
But that's also
Lucifer's
by that point of the show, though, Michael's here and Lucifer's up here, and Michael's trying to get up here, but yet he's still down here, and so that's where their rivalry
twin brother
is the fact that they're twin brothers and stuff like that. But there's like
I'm better than
there's
you.
a layer
I was born 1 minute
and
before you sort of bullshit.
There's like a layer and like a thing there that Michael still hasn't been able to embrace and accept and understand, which is causing him to act just like Lucifer, which is causing him to act like that, guy who's going to laugh at love, who's going to laugh at... He's basically all the stuff that we would expect out of Lucifer, Michael's doing. They literally inverted the image to where Lucifer's being the one that the audience connects to the most, and Michael is the one that's kind of like a dick face, and he's laughing at love, he's laughing at unity, he's laughing at all those things we try to fight for, and Lucifer's not.
But that's the mainstream view from my point of view. But the funny part is certain people, and I've met a lot of them over my life, who don't see Lucifer as the bad guy that most of Christianity tries to make him out to be.
I'm just talking about the show. I'm not talking about the actual character, the actual person. I don't know the actual person.
Well, no, but it's the thing. Lucifer, it puts in your head a certain picture.
Yeah, and
most people.
They've played fun with that in the show.
Yeah. But I mean, some of the stuff they brought up in the show, I'm like, I've been saying that for years. I could have been a writer for this show. Like when, in the earlier seasons when, because of Lucifer's why we're murderers, don't blame me because that's your natural fucking tendency to kill each other to get what the fuck you want. Don't blame me, asshole. That's just who the fuck you are as humans. Y'all just fucking evil little assholes. I'm just the fucking gatekeeper who's gotta fucking give you your punishment after you die, asshole.
I find that interesting.
And when that came up in the earlier seasons...
Yep, season 4.
I was like, that makes total sense. He's just the motherfucker like, no, you fucked up, here's your punishment, shut up, quit being a bitch.
Because that was the layer in season 4 that they hadn't explored yet in previous seasons, and then he decided to actually touch.
Fully, yeah.
Which is him going to hell and actually being the Lord of Hell and forcing these souls to deal with their punishment.
They talked about it in season 3.
They talked about it a lot.
He talks about it, how... Because an actual character brings it up, about how everybody's always blaming Satan, like the devil made me do it.
Yep.
And an actual character says something to that extent. He's like, don't fucking blame me.
Yeah, like he gets all worked up.
You're a murderous bunch of fucking...
Yeah, he gets all fucking worked up and just gets super pissed off, and it's just like, don't you
everybody
blame me for everything you humans do, and my father has constantly, said this and that, so that's constantly caused all of you guys to say this and that about me, but that's not the real me, and I'm just
like... But if you actually look at the book, it actually, at any religious book, it actually says, natural human, basically the way this is programmed, our meat suit for our soul is programmed is to kill, maim, and do whatever the fuck to be the top asshole.
Yeah.
And the bad part is the soul tries to fight that. And everybody was saying, well, Satan does it. It's like, are you sure? Satan, or misery loves company. Okay, did somebody say that because they think Satan's miserable in hell? Lucifer? Or did they say that so that way, haha, I hate myself, so I'm going to make you all hate yourselves and hate me all at the same time because I want us all to be on the same page. Is that a human thing? Or does that actually pertain to Lucifer and that? Because that's a human saying. That might not pertain to him because technically he's an archangel. And that's a pretty big fucking goddamn power bubble.
It is.
So, how the fuck are you going to say he's the bad guy when we're evil little fucking creatures, even God and any... They've written it in I don't know how many times in the books that we're evil little assholes. That's part of being a human.
Yeah, part of being a human is having both.
Has nothing to do with our soul. Has to be with being a meat suit. That alone makes you more evil. Because you were born and were attached to a meat suit. And you grew up in this shitty world. And it's even said in the scriptures, this is the shittiest world of all shitty worlds. This is the equivalent of hell on any other fucking goddamn world that God's created.
I mean,
we're the most evil of all evil. So, I mean, for me alone, that's just we make the Satans on every other fucking world or every other universe from any other dimension look like fucking amateur hour. How bad does that fucking make us?
Well, it makes us definitely flawed for sure.
But no, it's the whole Satan made me do it, that sort of thing. That's why I liked Lucifer, because it says, dude, you can't blame me because y'all evil little motherfuckers.
Yeah, it's kind of interesting.
And it goes kind of into that
he talks
more
about
deeply
how
in season 5 and in the last...
He's one of those beings that hates being blamed for something someone else did.
Yeah.
And so when humans are blaming, because we love to project on other people and we love to blame other people other than ourselves, instead of just accepting what we did, and as people in general, psychologically,
I accept I'm a complete asshole and I don't give a shit.
and he will call that out quite frequently on the show and talk about how people tend to do really dumb things, and people just tend to do really, shitty things or petty things
to get their goal.
And he'll comment on the fact that we love to blame him, or we love to blame someone of his stature, someone of his being, or of his embodiment, to try to deflect or try to not take the blame ourselves. And
the funny part is, he does it worse than humans that he bitches at that about in the show. It's like, motherfucker, you're doing that to God. You're deflecting all the bullshit straight to him. Yeah. Motherfucker just created the shit, tried to keep it from falling apart. Don't blame him for everything you did that was fucking stupid.
One thing I have to say that I like about the season a lot, because it's something that they sort of spent too much time in previous seasons dancing around, the romance between him and Chloe. I really dug that.
That was the first 3 seasons.
Yeah, but it was kind of like a will they, won't they for like a long time, and every time they'd start to get to that point, they just pull away again. And I knew for a fact the reason why they were doing that was because they want to keep you on their toes. They want to keep, it's like holding a juicy steak. But I loved what they did.
On a lot of series.
I loved what they did with season 5's Chloe and Lucifer
the
for this season. I love the way they ended it, but I also loved just the way that the story progressed for this season. That was one of my favorite parts of the season. Aside from,
he grows.
Yes.
She grows a little too with her stuff, and how her daughter is like, no.
Yeah.
Mom, either be happy with him and tell him it's me or nothing, or just, can we move on?
Yeah.
Because I like Lucifer, but he's kind of a dick,
Yeah, Trixie kind of like grows up a little bit this season.
I actually
she's no longer like just a little girl. She's kind of a teenager now.
Yeah, I actually like the way the character grew up in this season.
Yeah.
At the end of the season.
Yeah, I know, but they've got an entire extra season. Like, we have season 6 left to go. So, where they go from
here? Yeah, that's where they're supposed to end it. So, I'm just like, well, if you're shoving all this at the end of 5, how many episodes, 1, are you going to do for season 6? And 2, how fucking big are you going to make this bitch?
10 episodes is what they've said.
Yeah.
They're going to go for a 10-episode season, which honestly is not a bad thing. Like
for a last season, no. That's actually a pretty good one.
Yeah, if you're doing a one last hurrah, because Supernatural season 15, that was 20 episodes, and they stretched the shit out of that season.
The last 10 episodes was a stretch.
Yeah,
of immensity.
Yeah, because the first 10 episodes literally is just the greatest hits of Supernatural, and then the next 10 episodes,
flashbacks.
They spent like 4 episodes filling up content when they really could have just spent time developing the other 5 or 6 episodes that were in the rest part of the season. They could have been developing it and fleshing it out and giving a lot more depth, but instead they created a giant filler content for 5 episodes, and then after that they were just like, oh yeah, here's the regular story for the 5 episodes, and then you just sort of felt like certain parts were just like
half-assed.
Okay, that's what you're doing.
But
so
also at
I liked
the
how
end, they because that's right around the time COVID was getting real thick.
Yeah.
So we have to finish this now.
Well, they had 1.5 episodes left that they were filming, and then COVID hit, and so they had to wait like 8 months to film the rest of the season.
Oh yeah, because they've talked about it in a couple.
They did like 2 days of shooting, and then they had to
We
quit.
literally we finished the season, and after we finished the season, we literally went to a con of some sort.
Yeah, well, what they did was they had to put a giant halting on filming because they completed 2 days of filming. They got like the very first scene of like the last episode, the finale, done, and then they had to halt it, and they hadn't finished the previous episode before that. They did like 1.5 episodes, and then they're like, okay, let's just put it on hold for a year. Yeah. So
somebody fucking caught COVID because they were a dumb fuck.
So the fact that they were able to wait that long to finish the season, and the fact that they were able to make the characters look the way they did, were like giant passage of a time between where that last episode was filmed versus where this episode was filmed. I was like going, wait, are you fucking serious? You did that? Like, how did you pull that off? Like, people do tend to change their appearance, but within a year. When Dean and Stan
it's also the thing of, okay, just grow your hair out. We'll just trim it so that way it looks the same. All right. Last shot that we shot of them. Okay. Step. Trim beards. Makeup. Okay, hang on 1 second. Alright, the motherfucker looks exactly the same. Go fucking gorge yourself on camera.
Yeah, it was like a hell of a makeup job there.
Oh, yeah, with the haircuts and shit I bet they had to get. Oh, that took some time.
Yeah. I know that they're done with filming Lucifer, though. Like, I was reading some interviews the other day about how Tom Ellis was talking about how it is now that Lucifer's done filming. Like, so all they've got to do now is just finish it. What am I going to do
for a job sort of shit, yeah.
Yeah, like, they were asking him, they're like, what are you going to do for a job? And, now that you're done with this series. And he was talking about how he was like going, yeah, when we did bury Lucifer for the first few years, Fox then canceled us, and then Netflix brought it back. Yeah, and then Netflix brought it back for like a season, and then they brought it back again for another season, and then they surprised us with the 6th season. And they originally were going to end it with season 5, and they were going to end it with that season finale, but they had to rework it just slightly enough to where it was open for season 6. And he said that it was actually really nice being able to cap off the show with season 6. And especially since he's been playing the same character for 6 years, he's like, for me, in all reality, from my perspective, through my filter as an actor, I've played the same character for 6 years. And he's like, so it'd be nice to play a different character or play a different role, going forward.
Oh, yeah.
And he was talking about how he's already got 2 other roles that he's going to be playing. Yeah, he's lined up a couple roles. And so I feel like all these other actors are going to end up lining up roles, and so you're going to probably see them in other stuff. But yeah, he was talking about how it was filming the last of the season as well as where he's going to go from here.
I hate it. I hate Fox the way they end series.
Yeah.
Because Last Man Standing. The way the last episode, because I caught up, I was like off by like 2 episodes.
Yeah.
Because I haven't watched in a few weeks, in like 2 or 3 weeks. There was only like 2 or 3 episodes, so I watched them all the other day. And the way he ended the last episode is basically a middle finger to Fox, because Fox is doing the same shit they always do. Oh, by the way, thanks for moving your TV show over to our network. We got you like 3 or 4 we did you for 2 or 3 seasons, but haha, fuck you, you're canceled, bitch.
Oh, Last Man Standing?
Oh, yeah. The last little video he does at the end of every episode.
Yeah.
Where he's doing the last man, or the, whatever the store's name is, I can't remember off the top of my head now. Doing the little vlog for the store.
Yeah.
He literally puts it in there. You cannot destroy what I have built because it is mine. Because his car, his truck, his green truck that's been there like through the whole series, gets stolen. Goes to a chop shop and gets chopped up.
Like, as part of the story?
Yeah.
Okay. I'm gonna be like...
But because he's the one that launched it, because of Home Improvement, he wasn't the one who, like, wrote it.
Yeah.
But he's, like, been full in since, like, episode 1 on Last Man Standing.
Yeah.
It's the series he wrote for himself. He's been in charge of, like, 90% of the whole fucking thing. Because Fox pulled what Fox does. Hey, fuck you. Yeah, you made us money for 2 seasons. Go fuck yourself. We're not doing it no more. At the end of the season finale for this season, the way he ended that episode.
Yeah.
Because you're bringing up Lucifer and the way they ended it. Fox did. Because Fox is a bunch of bitches on their series. Because I've mentioned this before. There's 2 other series where they only did a season and then they bounced them. I'm like, what the fuck, bitch? You could have kept going with that. You could have still made money, you fucking lazy cocksuckers. But, I mean, it proves it now, because even the show that they decided to take over, and that Tim Allen, because he's the generation or the type of mentality, he likes the Fox sort of thing.
Yeah.
The Trump supporter. No offense to him, but that's his mentality. That sort of thing. Or he's a Republican, so he became a Trump supporter sort of shit.
Right.
And the way the last episode did what it did, it's like Fox is just being cocksuckers. They're always cocksuckers when it comes to series. That's why I wasn't surprised when Netflix picked up fucking Lucifer. And I love the way they ran with it.
Yeah.
Because, season 4 was supposed to be the last season, from what the actor who plays Lucifer said. They were supposed to do their 4th season. They were only supposed to do 4 seasons, because that was the original contract. And then Fox just said, yeah, fuck you.
Yeah, Fox canceled it
at the end of season 3.
Season 3,
so
and Netflix picked
the
it up.
last 2 episodes of season 3 were actually supposed to be the 2 episodes that they had already recorded for the end of season 4.
Yep.
So they just threw it at the end of season 3 to try to explain some shit. And then when Netflix picked it up, they could actually fucking do what they fully wanted to do.
Yep, and then season 4
writers.
became a thing. And
Oh,
then,
yeah.
And then,
season 4, and then when season 5, they're like, wait, we're doing extra season 5, we're not going to end at season 4 like it was already written? No, we're actually going to go another season.
Well, and luckily they also have material to pull from the comics, too. That's the thing I was going to bring up in the show is that Good Omens was written by Terry Pratchett and Neil Gaiman. The comic book of Lucifer and Lucifer the character for the comic book and for the show was created by Neil Gaiman. Like, this version of Lucifer was created by Neil Gaiman. They just happened to have him do his own interpretation of the character on the show. Basically, it's all Neil Gaiman.
I like the Lucifer interpretation
to the point
for the TV show.
Where
it came out good. That's why I like Crowley in Good Omens.
Yep.
The way he plays that character, who he's supposed to be the #1 guy for hell, running all the shit on Earth, making sure everything went there. But in the series, he even makes a comment. No, I was gonna start World War II, but the fucking humans got to it before me. I was gonna, drop the ideal on nuclear bombs. Those motherfuckers just moved too damn fast. They got to it before I did. Those motherfuckers are more evil than us demons in hell. We don't need to help them. I'm just gonna sit back and relax and claim I did it all, even though these motherfuckers are doing it for me.
But to the point where God is actually played by Neil Gaiman.
I thought that was
cool. His voice was Neil Gaiman, and then 2 or 3 episodes later, they're like, "Oh, by the way, we've actually casted God for the show," and then he shows up later on in the show as this don't remember the actor's name, but he's this really awesome black guy who I was actually moderately offended that it was not Morgan Freeman. And then
I wasn't.
And then later on, when I actually saw more of this guy's version of God on the show, I was like, okay, this works. This works ridiculously well, especially since he's got that beat, this bassy, boomy voice. And when he gets pissed off, he's just like, children, and you're just like, that's how God would sound. Okay.
Well, I like that Menadil, I think it was in the episode I'm watching now, was talking to God about self-actualizing.
Self-actualizing.
Yes, thank you. Words, brain. It's almost 3:30. You guys wrap this up. But how, because Michael was telling him, Dad, you look like you're kind of losing it. You're not exactly on 100% anymore.
Yep.
Because of him being a douchebag like he is, because he wants to take over, because he's tired of being second string, or what he thinks is second string. If he just realized where he actually was, he wouldn't be such a douchebag.
Yep.
But I like that he said that to God, and God went, little fucker. Because you could see the actor actually portraying it in the facial features like, that little dickhead.
Yep.
And when I saw that, I'm like, oh, well, there goes Lucy's plan of, I'm going to be the new God. It's like, dude, you already did that. You had hell, bitch.
Yep. And you gave it up.
You could have changed that in any fucking which way you wanted to, cocksucker. And you just did your job and then bitched about your job. If you don't like your job, don't fucking have that as a job. You know what? Well, I was always told, and you were probably told as a kid, if you don't love your job,
then get another job.
Yeah, then get a job you love.
Yeah, which is not easy in this society, but that's another.
Dude, it's not easy, fucking period. That's why I tried to become a chef. But because I became a certified head chef at Job Corps, I was overqualified, and they didn't want to pay me what I was actually worth, the $20 an hour.
Yeah.
These are like minimum wage jobs. The max we can pay is like $9 an hour. And I was like, dude, compared to what I usually get paid, I'm okay with that. I just got out of Job Corps, basically a tech school. I'm certified. Can I just yes, I'm certified as chef. Just give me a fucking cooking job. I love to cook.
Yeah.
But that's also like moving into the new house. It's like, fuck, what the fuck with this stovetop? Because I had to figure it out, and you're just being a shitty cook. We know you can cook better than this. It's like, motherfucker, I haven't figured out the fucking damn stovetop, and it's only been like a month or two. And then I just gave up and just started cooking the way I wanted to cook. Fuck you, I don't give a shit what you like.
Yeah.
And that's where shit kind of went sideways on some of the food shit. Because they're like, I want to eat this again. Because, no offense, when you cook it, it tastes good. And, no, we need to do variety, and they're like, I don't give a shit about variety. I like these like 10 foods. That's it. Can we like just keep it simple? I'm like, I like your ideas. We keep it simple, stupid. Why don't y'all eat anything else? Why? I have the protein, I have the carbs, and I have the fats right where they should be dialed in. Shut up. And that's what it became.
Yeah.
Me and the kids deciding what the hell we eat for dinner. Or I deciding because I've already got all the damn nutritional facts locked in.
Yeah.
The only time I have issues when I run off from the house, and it's like, fuck. Only thing available is fast food because I'm not going to Walmart or Smith's or anywhere to buy actual food. Because now, because of COVID and all this shit that's happened, it is such a pain in the ass and expensive to get decent amount of food to make 2 meals.
Yeah.
I mean, I can do it, but the cost in gas and the cost of actually buying the food with as much as the shit's gone up in the last, hell, we'll say 6 months, because it's dramatically gone up in the last 6 months.
Yeah, escalation.
It's too big a pain in the ass to fucking do. It's cheaper to go get the freaking bacon McDouble or like the fucking simple meals from Taco Bell. It's got a buttload of fat, so I've been having to do a buttload more workouts, but because that's the situation I'm in.
Yeah, what's funny is I actually read a couple articles where it talked about how 80% of American working class, escalation has gone up at least 90% compared to 10 years ago. And
oh yeah,
and escalation is an all-time high for us working class Americans, and for the higher percent, they're actually really confused that the stimulus has caused the escalation to go up as high as it did, which is kind of funny.
Dude, you throw more money into the fucking goddamn system, what's gonna happen? People are gonna buy stupid shit, at least half of them. And the other half, you save it, aren't gonna understand why everything's going up. Because you got those 500, or you got half the population that's going out because I got a check and buying laptops and all this other shit that they don't need.
Yep.
For those who don't actually need it, they're just going to buy it because, oh, I have money, I'm going to go buy a new computer. Motherfucker, does your computer at home still work? Yes. You're wasting money. Fuck off.
What's funny is I only bought my laptop because of the fact that I needed.
Me and Amber told you, shut up, buy it, motherfucker. You
Yep.
need to get your goddamn sit down and write time.
And then the rest of it.
Because you kept bitching about it.
Oh yeah, no, I was constantly going on about it because I got tired of just only being able to go on Amber's computer, and then Amber being like, I can't stream or I can't do this stuff and whatever, and I'm just like, fine, I'll just get my own fucking computer. And she's like, finally, and I'm like, fuck you too.
But that wasn't the end goal. It was just fucking do it, dude. I mean, I saw the way she was pushing. She wasn't pushing you right, but that's y'all's fucking shit. I ain't getting in the middle of it. I just told you, get the fuck up. We're going to Walmart. Or we're looking online and we're buying it tonight. Those are your two options.
Yeah. And
you wouldn't get on the Amazon and try to do what I did for the almost $600 for the laptop.
I'm actually about maybe getting another later on.
But, I mean, you were like, fine, let's just go do it. I'm like, good, I'm dragging you to Walmart. We're going to get you a halfway decent one that'll last you at least 6 months to a year.
Because I've still got
already.
some money set aside that I'd saved up from 2 months ago. So I'm thinking about maybe later on getting another computer. I just have to find the right one and make sure everything lands financially. Because if it doesn't, I'm fucking myself. So I'm not going to do it yet. But
I already have.
Yeah.
No, the laptop I have would be the one you would want. If I'd have seen the laptop I had at the price I saw it, when we were looking at for you, I just said, just buy this one off Amazon.
Yeah.
But I was looking and I didn't find it until like fucking, well, when I was talking with my dad, with Dad Joe about it. And it was like, no, I want at least this much. And I'm like, okay, no, I cannot,
So we'll talk about it. We'll talk about it more later on. But what are your initial thoughts on Good Omens for like the next several episodes? Because we talked about the show a little bit last time. We talked about the first episode.
Yeah, I like the way it ends. You'll enjoy it.
I
especially
episodes 2 through 5.
I'll just give you a slight teaser.
Love it.
The angels and the demons getting pissed at those two.
Yeah.
And trying to make them pay
Especially
for
when
their actions.
especially when Aphistophel or whatever his name is goes to heaven without a body,
Yeah.
and like because what
gets
happens
evaporated.
because he's there trying to talk to God, and the God, the Metatron shows up instead. He's like, I am the voice of God. If you talk to me, you're talking to God. And so he's just like trying to convince him not to go to war. He's like, a war is necessary, and he's like, okay, fine, whatever. And then
the dumbass witch hunter bumps him into the circle.
Yeah, the dumbass
he's trying to stop him from going into the circle.
The dumbass witch hunter is just like coming at him. He's like, "Don't go in the circle! Don't go in the circle! You're gonna get hurt!" And then he fucking pushes him into it, and he's just like, "Fuck!" He gets pushed into it. And he's just like,
he's trying to stop him, and then he takes 2 steps back, and then he's like, "You shouldn't be in the fuck. I'm in the circle."
What's funny is it's the one time you hear that guy swear on the entire show, and he's just like, "Fuck."
Yeah.
You're like watching this, you're like, "Oh fuck, he just swore." And everybody else, there's other characters like Crowley, he curses all the time, whereas Aphistophel is just like, "I don't curse, I'm soft, I'm cute and cuddly," and they have this bromance, this beautiful little, very platonic bromance.
No. Just wait till the last episode. The bromance fully blossoms, and it's fucking hilarious.
Okay.
No. The 2
Michael
guys
Sheen and
in
David
charge.
Tennant.
The demons in charge that they show in episode 5.
Yeah.
Showing up after. Well, have you seen the part with Satan showing up?
No.
Okay. After you see that, you'll see the 2 guys from heaven and hell basically meeting up. Like, what the fuck? They stopped.
I watched as far as the farthest I've gotten, which is until the finale, is where the 4 horsemen have rode on their motorbikes all the way to that one military facility.
Okay.
And the kid's there,
and
he's like, "I'm here."
But when you actually see who basically the angel that runs heaven and the demon who's supposed to be running hell.
Yeah.
That's not Satan or God.
Yeah.
Those guys, when they show up, they actually work together.
Okay.
To try to get those 2, basically, you're gonna pay for what you did.
Yeah, Michael Sheen and David Tennant's characters.
Yeah. Just wait for it. It's
which, by the way,
hilarious and marvelous all at the same time.
The chemistry
the way
between
the
David
bromance
and Michael is just
blossoms at the end.
Yeah.
Perfect.
Yeah, the chemistry between those 2 actors is just electrifying.
Oh, I love the character.
Every goddamn moment on screen together.
Lucifer talking to him, and he's in his old white getup.
Yeah.
It's like, dude. And then they switch him with the guy who's supposed to be the guy who cuts off his head.
Yeah.
And the guy who cuts off the head is in the white getup, and he gets taken off to get his head cut off.
Oh yeah, when they're in the prison.
Oh yeah. Where do you want to go for lunch?
Yeah.
Well, I know there's a good restaurant over on this side of town, sort of shit. I'm just like.
Yeah, that was the episode where they were bouncing through time. Through different
but I mean,
for
me, it's funny. They have a bromance that's as long as the world's basically been here, sort of bullshit.
Yes.
And it's like the bromance of all bromances, and it's an angel and a demon. Oh, this is fucking hilarious.
Yeah, because
I love it.
Because the very beginning, it's like when they're talking to each other in the very first episode. If you remember, he was just like, he's all like, "Did you really get Eve to eat the apple?" And he's like, "I don't see how getting any more knowledge is a bad thing." And it's heavily hinted that he's the one who tempted Eve rather than Lucifer, and it's heavily hinted that that Crowley is the one who started a lot of that stuff with the Garden of Eden. And then,
also
then he finds out,
gives
and then he finds
Adam
out Michael
the sword
Sheen.
of fire.
Yeah, finds out he gave Adam the sword of fire, and he's like, Did you do a bad thing?" And he's like, "I would never do a bad thing.
I'm an angel.
I'm an angel. You're